Evening, evening, evening. Hope everybody's keeping well. Welcome back to Beyond the Lane, episode 21. Big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everyone watching at home. Thank you, Ian, Matty, and Robbie for joining us tonight. Hope you guys are good. Ian, how are you?
Good, thanks. Nice to be back. Second time on.
Thank you for joining us.
Looking forward to the show.
Thank you, Ian. And Matty, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, except Tottenham. Everything's good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Robbie, how are you tonight?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, mate. Pleasure to be on. Looking forward to a chat about Spurs, which I think we all need to get quite a lot of our chest. So good to be on. Pick up everyone in the chat, and cheers for having us on.
Cheers, buddy. And Nige, how are you?
I'm okay. Bit of man flu, so tissues in one hand. And if I do drop off, it's because I'm coughing my guts up or blowing my nose. But yeah, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. Good to be here. Looking forward to the show tonight. Lot to get into. People watching, please get involved with your comments throughout the show. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do. To myself, Nige, Matty, and Robbie. The links will be in the chat. So any subs to all of us will be much appreciated. Thank you so much. So, guys, what we're going to get into tonight, we're going to obviously cover the cup exits. We're going to talk about Ange's post-match interview where he had a lot to say. So we're going to go over that. We're going to look ahead to the Man United game. Also, we've got to talk about the protest on Sunday. And also, I need to talk about my experience with Chris Cowden last night. So we'll get into that a bit later on throughout the show. So yeah, guys, everybody get involved and have a cracking show. Let's say a few hellos to people in the chat. See who's here. Let's have a little look. Let's get guys up. So we have Tom. Big up, Tom. Evening to you. Hope you're well. And big up to Rob. How are you, man? Hope you're good. Another day and Ange is still gainfully employed. These are desperate times. Yeah, we'll be getting into that. Big up to Mark. Hope you're good, buddy. Big up to Fran. How are you, Fran? Thanks for joining us. Big up to another failed upload. Thank you for being here. Corey boy in the house. Who's he talking about?
No idea.
No one? Big up to the other Mark as well. Big up to James. Hope you're good, buddy. Big up to Mike. Big up to Andrew. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Big up to Tom. I said Tom already. Big up to Levy Towers. Big up, boys. Baldy out. Big up to Igor. Big up, gentleman Dan. I'm so curious to hear what happens with Chris yesterday. Big up to you. Yeah, I will. I'll be speaking about that later on throughout the show. And big up to Yanni. Evening, lads. The nightmare continues. Couple more before we crack on. Big up to Matthew. Evening, all. Cowlin, how rude. He didn't like it. Ange out. And one more. Star Screams Brigade. Looking forward to this. Thank you for everybody joining us. Now, guys, look, we went out the cup competitions 2 in 1 week. Let's go over and discuss that. Nige, what's your thoughts? How are you feeling after those 2 cup exits?
Listen, neither of them surprised me. Liverpool are probably the best side in Europe. So most teams will go there and lose. Kind of expected a defeat. It was more the manner of the defeat. There was no passion. There was no pride in the shirt. It was just really disappointing the way we just went out. We rolled over, let our bellies be tickled. It was a bit embarrassing, really. Villa the same. First half, exactly the same. I thought we improved second half. But again, it's all too little too late. Why can't we come out at the start of a game and really put it on a team? It's just the way we are at the moment. It's the way we're playing. We are so short of confidence. I'm not having Ange's excuses of injuries and not being able to fill different players. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But yeah, disappointed, but not surprised.
Okay. And Matty, what about you?
Basically, what Nigel says. It's just effort for me. There was no strength. There was no try. We didn't look like we wanted it at all. The tactics were all wrong in the Liverpool game. I think we started off the Liverpool game just sitting back, most of our men behind the ball, and that was okay if we were trying to just win it 1-0 aggregate. But then when we were 1-0 down, nothing changed. 2-0 down, nothing changed, and so on. We didn't adapt throughout the match, and we would never look like we were in a scoring position. We couldn't get out of our own half. They were on the attack the whole time. We didn't show anything. We didn't prove anything. I mean, no one had any hope, but we were still disappointed. And then Villa, I didn't expect anything from it. They dominated completely. We embarrassed ourselves. They should have won by more. Um, it's just awful performance. I mean, we came out second half. We showed something. Ange had obviously screamed at the players in halftime, but it just wasn't enough. And overall, everything's wrong at the moment. Out of both cups in 3 days is awful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. And Ian, what do you think? Do you think the injuries is a valid excuse for Ange for losing those 2 games?
I think that's where the way we play, and you look at the results before the injuries really started kicking in, we would be hit and miss completely. You know, he has no system. There is no structure. So you're banking on moments of brilliance, periods of a game where we get it right and we score 2 or 3 in 15 minutes, which is a horrendous way of, you can't. I don't know how you plan. But when you are with a full strength team, occasionally you get away with it. We won at City. We beat Villa. We beat City twice. We won at Old Trafford. With half a team missing, you got no chance. I agree with Nige with Liverpool. What happened was with the lack of effort, I thought was absolutely appalling. There were 6,000 of us up there. A lot of people had taken 2 days off. I took the best part of 1 day off. A lot of people were staying over, coming back Friday, then coming home, going straight up to Villa, which I did. And I just thought it was just in a bad place. We've got a poor manager with no structure. And I think the sooner he goes, I think there will be an immediate bounce. There'll be a buzz about the dressing room again when he goes. His system is poor. The pressing is poor. He's pushed players through barriers fitness-wise that he shouldn't have done. In-game management is poor. Rotation is poor. He is. You look at all the various reasons. He is completely out of his depth, and certain players like Porro, Gray, Kulusevski have played non-stop since beginning of December. They're off their feet, and it's not good enough. The team's not good enough. If they don't get rid of them, I can just see whether we'll nick enough wins to stay out of the relegation area. Who knows? You just hope that the players coming back mean that we will nick more games, and in order to stay out of trouble. But the whole thing's a complete shambles from top to bottom.
It is, man. It is, and yeah, there's so much to get into tonight about it all. And look, let's just try and focus on the kind of performances of those 2 games, and then we'll move on to the actual, what Ange actually said after the game, because we need to talk about it. A lot of people are saying a lot. Now we've got our first super chat in. We've got a big thank you to Tony for this. He just says Ange out. Appreciate the super chat, Tony, and you're right. I think a majority of the fan base do want Ange out, but again, I've heard a lot over the last few days that there's still so many behind Ange, and yeah, we'll see. Now, Robbie, what was your outlook on those 2 cup exits?
Yeah, I agree with you, lads, and what you've been saying. I think it was the manner in which we lost both games. The Aston Villa game, We showed a bit of fight at the beginning of the second half, but apart from that, I thought it looked like men against boys. We had that sunny chance, but I think Aston Villa could have scored 4 or 5 in that first half. They were just cutting through our midfield so easily. The Liverpool game, again, I do get Liverpool best team right now, arguably in Europe, maybe even the world, playing beautiful football, but it is a semi-final. You're 1-0 up, and you can't register a shot on target. Accrington Stanley registered a shot on target in an early cup game at Anfield, and we can't even get one on target. I think both defeats were really poor. I'm not even that frustrated after them. I'm pretty numb to them because I sort of expected it. I don't expect us to turn up in a game that we're not expected to get something out of and put in a great performance. I don't think the manager's capable of doing that. I don't think these players are capable of doing that. I thought what we saw in those 2 games was a complete lack of leadership on and off the pitch. You want your manager shouting at players, telling them where to be, trying to get the players motivated. There was none of that out there for him. Heung-min Son as the captain, you either want him slating the players when we concede goals in both games or trying to say, chin up, lads. But he had his head down when we're conceding the goals against Liverpool and Aston Villa. It's like, you're meant to be the captain. You're meant to motivate these players or rip into them. Do something. Don't just put your head down and try and stay out of the limelight. And people talk about him being a good captain. I agree with what Ian sort of said. I think this manager is terrible. I really, really do. I think his tactics just don't make sense to me. Some of the tactical changes, like the Arsenal game, the change of formation at half time, injuries, look, of course it's affected us a little bit. Injuries for me are the reason that we're not first, second, third, fourth, fifth, but they're not the reason we're not sixth, seventh, eighth. The reason we're 14th is down to the manager and the way he's managed this squad. Bournemouth have had huge injuries. They lost their best player in the summer, but they've adapted to it. Their manager's playing to their players' strengths. He's getting the most out of them, and they're dealing with a situation, whereas we continue doing the same thing whilst missing players. And something I hear a lot from Spurs fans, and then I'll shut up and pass it back to you, Dan. But
It's all right, man. You speak your piece.
No, cheers, mate. I hear a lot of Spurs fans saying, when we get our players back. Ian made a good point. You're seeing the likes of Porro right now being run into the ground. You're seeing certain players now being played game after game. So who's to say that when we get Mickey van der Ven back, Romero back, Solanke, those players who are being run into the ground now are gone? I don't see us having a fully fit squad at all now from now until the end of the season, or at least a mainly fully fit squad, because once those players come back, surely the ones now who are being worked as a stay off their arse and just play game after game after game out of position, asked to do so much, they might be injured. Archie Gray might be injured. Archie Gray might be out. So I think this manager's mismanaged his squad. I think he's tactically inept. I think both defeats, it was the manner in which we lost them and the results, and just quite depressing to talk about at the minute when it comes to Spurs, because there's really not many positives.
Mate, yeah, it's everybody. Excellent points. Yeah, excellent points. It's dreadful, isn't it? Let's be real here. The Liverpool performance, we got absolutely destroyed. We had a massive chance to get to that final, but I felt that the players did not leave it out there. I really do think that. And then the Aston Villa game, again, our midfield was just so open. The amount of time, especially in that first half when they were just running through us. We had Bentancur playing, Bergvall. Who else was in the middle again, guys? Remind me.
Saul, wasn't it?
Against Villa. Saul came on second half.
Was it Bissouma? It was Bissouma. No, it was Kulu, actually. It was Kulu, yeah.
Yeah, it was Kulu. And you had Mikey Moore on the right. Look, Villa, they got that early goal, a goalie mistake, right? But how many chances did they have in that first half? And Kingsley did make some good saves. I just thought, then Ange made that change at half time. He brought on Bissouma to try and shore up the midfield. Look, we started a bit better in that second half, but we didn't get the breakthrough. And the danger was there throughout the game. Villa did get that second goal. And we just huffed and puffed. But we've huffed and puffed in so many games in the last couple of months, I felt. It's just normal from us. We look like a team that don't know what they're doing. They're individuals. They're not playing together. There's very little combination plays. And and you just look at it. And look, guys, I predicted that we'd lose both of these matches. I'm not surprised, but you just would have thought that the players would have put in a hell of a lot more effort in both of those matches. And Ange just continues to give excuses, which we're going to get into in a minute. Let's see what the chat is saying. So Yanni says Spurs' performance at Anfield was completely unacceptable. They were 90 minutes away from a cup final, holding a 1-0 lead from the first leg, yet they played like a team that didn't even realise what. It's true. It's true. What was at stake? There was no fight, no urgency, no sense of the moment. To go out like that without a battle was out of order. It wasn't just a defeat; it was a surrender. I can't argue with that. It looked like that, didn't it, guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to add anything about the fight of the team?
No, it was just poor. The whole night was poor. There was nothing. We defended okay for 30 minutes. You know, we got there. We got to half an hour through at 0-0, and you think to yourself, don't concede first 10 to 20 minutes and then start to grow into the game. But we never had any ambition to grow into the game. That was the thing. It was, I don't know. I mean, there was one attack which were few and far between, and we had 2 strikers against 7 defenders. It was just ridiculous. Everyone was just hanging back. So, got to write that off. You know, the full strength team would have probably lost there, but at least show some effort. Villa was another matter. That was just poor. That was all the old problems. You know, bad system, no structure in the team, no system, no nothing. Players out of position, just poor.
And Mark said, "What are they coaching them? We've all seen the donut pictures. Who is coaching these players? For me, he has left the youngsters out to dry. Let's hope they come out the other side." It's a good point that Mark made. Now, I will not criticise these young players, right? I will not, because they are doing all they can. They're playing in a team which is lacking confidence, lacking. They haven't got anything at the moment, have they? And Archie Gray, we talk about this every week, that he's still not playing in midfield, keeps playing him at centre back, right back, left back. It's crazy. They sent Dorrington on loan, who's an actual centre back who could have played a part. He could have then moved Gray into the midfield and given a couple of the other guys a break. But what's also really concerning is our midfield. Massive issue. It's really coming. I know it's been like that all the season. They've been very inconsistent. But Basuma, Bentancur, what are these guys doing? Have they just given up playing for the manager? That's what it looks like for me. Anyone want to comment on that?
Listen, they've been poor for a year. I know Bentancur's had his injury problems, and I have sympathy with him on that. It's been pretty stop-start. He's had a couple of bad injuries in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Basuma, it's just a bit of a headless chicken. You look at it's just bad decision after bad decision with Basuma. You know, just to give 2. Diving in to give away the penalty against Chelsea was one earlier in the season. Instead of playing a 1-2 with Spence, he decided to cut in field, got dispossessed, and Trossard scored what turned out to be the winning goal. It's you know, this is the reason why Conte didn't trust him. We can see it now. You know, Conte's no mug. He's a top manager, and he didn't think Basuma was good enough for his team. And we're seeing it now, and it's unfair just to. I don't want to single him out because Bentancur's been poor, Son's been poor, Werner's off the chart. He's been hopeless. There've been several players that really haven't done it. Kulu's gone off in the last few weeks, but I think that's probably because he's knackered out. Porro's not been great. You know, it's
yeah, it's true. And I want to go to Matty. What do you think of that midfield, Matty? What is going on with them?
I mean, the fact that our 2 18-year-olds are our best players at the moment. I mean, Bergvall, he's our best midfielder at the moment. Moving Kulusevski to midfield last season was one of the best decisions we made because he makes so much more of an impact in midfield. I mean, at the beginning of this season, he was our best player. He's dropped off a bit, but he's running into space. Like against Liverpool, he's running into space there's nowhere to pass to, there's nowhere to run into. He's just running like nowhere. He has no options. I mean, Bissouma was so good in the first 10 games of last season. I don't understand what's happened. I mean, what Ian's saying about what Conte, why he didn't play him, I think it's perfectly right. We can see now he's not our level. He's Brighton's level. I mean, he was amazing for Brighton. Like the passes he did. I also don't think he's in the right position. I think he's more of a 6 than a 8 or whatever he's playing now. He's kind of playing because we play 3 midfielders. Like I feel he's more of a 6. I also feel he's very rash. Bentancur, you have to feel bad for him. He's been in and out of injuries for years now. He's like you can look on his day. He's one of our best players. He's very silky. I mean, look at him for Uruguay. He's amazing. Like he's Uruguay's best player. I mean, watch one game. It's so different to how he plays for Spurs. But that's with most players. I mean, Saw, he's only like 21 now. Saw, if that, he's very young still. I think we forget that because the fact that he's like seen as one of our senior players, he's only 21. It's crazy. Um, I mean, it's the young players that are playing better at the moment. Um, what I would like to see as a midfield 3 in the future is Gray, Bergvall, and Kulusevski. And if we need a more defensive, Gray, Bergvall, and Saw. I mean, I think we should have sold Basuma already. I think we should have kept Højbjerg. I'm not sure who said it the other day. But I think we should have kept Højbjerg. He should have been our captain. He's vocal. He is clinical. He is who we need in a big situation. That is a player we need this season, I think. Um, yeah, but, yeah, that's the midfield.
No, great points, Matty. And Nige, let's move on to that attack. Now, I think that attack lacks a lot of pace. You know, looking at that Villa, they've got loads of pace in their team, haven't they? Yeah, I was, to be honest, jealous of Villa's attack. They break forward so fast. What's your thoughts around the pace in our forward line? I know we have a couple out, but generally,
The Spurs tough. Well, Kulu's not particularly quick, is he? Not until he gets going. I don't know about Tell. I think he's got a bit of pace, but again, he's not. He's not lightning quick. And Sonny, obviously, he's getting older. He's never. He's not as quick as he used to be. I still think there's enough pace there. I just don't think the players are on it. But yeah, give me a Morgan Rogers anytime. I'd love a Morgan Rogers in the Spurs side. He reminds me of Dele Alli when he first broke into the Spurs side, just fearless.
yeah,
But yeah, we're not
yeah.
the quickest side.
Yeah, that Villa team, they're a good side. They've made some clever signings in January. Robbie, if you compare the signings Villa made to what we made, what's your thoughts around that?
Look, Rashford's only played 30 minutes, if that, the other day, Asensio. So we'll see if Villa can get more out of them. But I do think, as I say, whilst they haven't been great recently, they're more proven than the players we've signed. For me, our January window, Danzo, I don't think is a bad signing. We'll have to wait and see what happens with him. But in the last 2 games, I think he's been one of the only players who can hold his head up. He hasn't played great, but he hasn't played bad, which you can't say about the rest of them. Tell, another one. I want to give him a bit more time. I've only seen him really in one game that he started against Villa and then came on against Liverpool. Despite all of that contract stuff and the stuff with him wanting to stay at Bayern or go at Man U, I saw a video of him being the only player who went over to the away fans after that Villa game. Whilst more senior ones went straight down the tunnel. So for our signings that we brought in, I think they'll need more time. But you do just look at the business Villa have done, the way that club is set up right now. You look at Spurs, and they're like 2 clubs going down completely different paths. And looking at Villa, they've got a manager who sets his team up brilliantly. They're hard to break down. They're dangerous going forward. They're quick. And you've got our manager who plays players out of position. We're easy to play through. I'm looking at that midfield. I still can't get my head around the fact we don't play with the 6, especially when we play high up in games and invert the fullbacks, which we still do quite a lot. Not playing with a 6 to cover those centre-backs, especially when you've got all those players missing, is ludicrous for me. For me, Archie Gray should be playing there. And Ange coming out with his comments, I know you said you'll talk about it in a second, Dan, but he's talking about how these players deserve more praise. Okay, so when our injured players come back, you'll give Archie Gray a reward for working his arse off the centre-back and play him in his actual position. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think the minute our senior players come back, Archie Gray's dropped or he's injured because he's been overworked. He will not get the chance to now go, okay, mate, you've done a great job out of position the last few months. Have a go in the six or have a go in the midfield where you were at your best at Leeds. Play in your own position. You've earned that based on what you've done for the club. But I don't see that happening. I think our midfield's easy to play through. I think the signings aren't that exciting. And just watching that Villa Spurs game, I think they're two clubs on completely different roads at the minute.
Yeah, man. Look, Ian. Yeah, good points, Robbie. I mean, Ian, what do you think? You know, if you look at Villa and Spurs, and if you look at that game, Villa know what they're doing. Emery has set them up. They know what they're doing. They have a plan. They have a structure to their team. You know, and it's just like chalk and cheese to Spurs, especially that Spurs performance.
Well,
What do you think about that?
Well, they were missing most of their back four, weren't they? And it showed. To me, it showed when, you know, the way we cut them open when Sonny missed that sitter. For me, they were there to be, you know, they were there to be beaten. And we just didn't turn up. There's so many players missing. It was poor, you know.
They had injuries as well, Villa. Do you know that? They had that back line wasn't their normal back line. And we just didn't put them under enough pressure.
No.
I want to know, Ian, what's your thoughts on Tel and Danso and anybody else on the panel as well? I know, Robbie, you said your bit. What's your thoughts on them so far? I know it's so early.
I think Danso's given a decent account of himself in both games. Tel, I thought, did okay Sunday. Yeah, you also got to remember that he didn't get much service, did he? You know, forget Thursday night. That was just poor all the way through. And he hardly had a chance going forward at all Thursday. Sunday, I thought he did okay. You know, you can see that he's keen, he's enthusiastic, he's still raw. You know, the kid's 19. But you know, there's something there. Took his goal nicely. Took his goal well. So, you know, will they be a success? Who knows? I think Danso looks like a similar type of player to Dragerson in the fact that he's strong. He's better probably playing in a low block. Hasn't got lightning pace like Mickey, but then very few players have. I think he's a good buy. Tel, who knows how that will shape up. But I do think we are lacking big time without Solanke. I think the front line is rudderless without him.
Before I go to someone else, let's just read a couple of comments out. Big up, Nicola. Hope you're well. Injuries is just an excuse because if we had structure and made ourselves hard to beat, we wouldn't be 14th in the league, regardless of the injuries. I agree with that. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Go on, Ian. Sorry, you were going to say something?
Yeah, no, fully agree. It is about the system, but playing in this system, you mitigate your position by playing better players, because they will cope that little bit better with the ridiculous system we're playing. So injuries do make injuries do make a difference. Unfortunately, I know people say, well, it doesn't make any difference because the system's still bad. But you know, you're not gonna lose many balls over the top with Van der Ven there. Whereas that's, you know, his pace and clear up record isn't gonna be as good with other defenders. So.
Yeah, well, Van der Ven, I mean, he can't continue to be playing this high line. It just doesn't work for him. The injuries are going to keep coming. Mark says, worst manager I've seen in 50 plus years supporting the club. Oh, that's crazy, man. He's probably the worst manager in my time supporting Spurs.
Can I just mention the Dancer and Tel signings quickly?
Yeah, of course you can.
So for the Tel signing, I'm happy we didn't pay 60 million for him. If we had paid 60 million for him, I wouldn't have been happy, because that means we're not going to buy anyone else big. Tel's not been proven yet. He's got no goals this season, but he's looked okay in the Villa game. I mean, he got a goal when no one else could. He showed a bit of fight. We haven't seen enough. We have to see him in a Premier League game, a few games, and then I can judge properly. But we didn't see anything in Liverpool because he wasn't being fed anything through. Dancer, I think, will be a very good signing long term. I mean, he's around 25 now, I think. The one thing I wanted to say about Dancer is we could have got him on 1st of January. We should have got him on 1st of January. we had him lined up, and that's been reported. But there was pennies that Levy wouldn't pay. Pennies. If we had paid those pennies extra, we could have won games in January like Newcastle, Forest, whatever other games we played. But we could have won those games and be more solid defensively if we had just got him on earlier. But we didn't because of Levy. But I think he's promising. He's showed that he can hold defense. I think he's very similar to Dragusin, as Ian said. I do think he's pacey. He's got more pace than Dragusin, definitely. Yeah.
Anybody else want to give their thoughts on them signings? I've got something to say about it in a sec.
I like Danza. I think he looks like a good defender, wins his aerial duels, wins his tackles, puts blocks in. I think he's not a bad passer out from the back. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's the best, but he's not bad. And I'm one of these like soft, soppy fans that if I see a player give a bit of love to Spurs, then I like him straight away. And seeing what Tell did after the game, I'm not sure if he knew the fan that he was hugging, but yeah, that made me think I like that. I'd like to see that from players. Come up and give the fans some love. Fans have made, they travel a long way to go and watch the club, and yeah, I like that. And he's got decent touch, and it was a really nice finish.
Look, he's coming to Spurs, right? He's gone from Bayern Munich, playing with all those top players, yeah, all that experience and quality around him, to the big mess at Spurs. I mean, it's going to be
Culture
really
shock.
tough. But yeah, Bobby, it is. It's going to be so hard for him. He's really going to have to kind of make his mark. And I just look, I don't want to criticise him. I haven't seen enough of him, but we should have gone for a more experienced player, ready to get in there straight away and make an impact. But we just don't do it, do we? It's another young signing. And look, it's good we got him, but I think we should have gone for more experience myself. Dan, so go on, Matty.
I feel like more experienced players don't want to come to us. Why would they? We're offering very low wages, lower than most other clubs that want them. We offer the club very smaller amounts than other clubs. We aren't going anywhere. We have no project. We are sitting 14th. We're out of the FA Cup. We're out of the Carabao Cup. Why would an experienced player want to come to us?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it is tough, and they really struggled to get anyone in. No, but where was the plan at the beginning? Of January? Was there a plan? This is the problem, isn't it? Like the summer transfer window was, in my eyes, not good enough. Then it comes to January, you would have thought they would have a plan, but I don't think there was. Maybe their targets that they wanted didn't want to come now. They've seen what's going on at Spurs under Ange. They see how poor we're playing. Yeah, maybe they didn't want to come. Quite possibly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know whether we had signings lined up, but Levy didn't want to pay for them. We don't know if we didn't have signings lined up and Levy was pushing for them. We don't know if Lange is a problem. We don't know if Levy's a problem. We don't know.
We all don't know, do we? Did anyone listen to that Lange interview at the end
Yeah.
What did he say? I didn't listen to it because I don't want to listen to him.
Just saying it was hard to get players in, and he thinks it was a good window.
Let's go around the panel. Nige, was it a good window?
No, it's a shocking window. Don't get me wrong, like I say, I like Danza, and I think Tao's okay. Whether Tao actually wanted to come in the first place is another question. But it was all too little too late. We should have had a plan in place from the summer to what we are going to do in January, and executed that plan within the first week, 2 weeks latest. But we do what we always do: wait till the last minute, and we're shopping at Aldi instead of M&S.
Oh, Matty, what's your rating of that window?
I'll give it a 7. I mean, if you look at that window overall, we've brought in a goalkeeper, we've brought in a defender, we've brought in an attacker. That's not a bad window. The way we did it was bad. We got them all in February except the goalie. Maybe it was the wrong choices, but we got in the players we needed. Maybe we could get some more. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, it looked terrible, but we did end off with 2 good signings.
And the goalie as well.
Yeah.
Would you rate him? Do you rate him?
He's played 10 senior games or something before he came to us. He has made a big mistake, But look at that Liverpool game, the home game, that distribution, that pass to, I think it was Son. I mean, he's got potential. We needed a goalkeeper to challenge Vicario. Vicario was just chilling last season. He had no one challenging him. Austin and Whiteman we need to sell urgently. Austin's played a good game, well done, but how long has he been out of club for? And he's not going to be a second ever. So why is he here? It's a waste of space.
I just think he hasn't been given enough chance myself.
Yeah.
That guy, Robbie, rating of that transfer window in your eyes?
Yeah, for me, 4 or 5 out of 10. I'd probably say 5 out of 10. I think Danzo, we'll have to wait and see. Southampton, he got mixed reviews there. He was a bit rash at times, but certain Southampton fans really wanted to keep him, others didn't. And if you're splitting opinion in the Southampton fan base, I don't want to sound patronising, but is it going to work out with Spurs? We'll have to wait and see with him, though. What I've seen so far, he's been one of our better players. Like Matt said earlier, if we spent the 60 million, my thoughts would have been different on it. On loan, there's not a lot that can go wrong. But I'm looking at the signings we've brought in, including Kinski as well. And they're all players where it's like, we'll see what they bring. Why couldn't we go out there and sign a player where it's like, yeah, they'll be good for us? A player who we know is going to come in, be quite consistently good and improve our side. Do any of those players that we've brought in improve our first team? Can we say for definite 100% they do? Because I don't think we can. I disagree with what you said, Matty, about Austin. I think he got that chance against Newcastle, and although we lost the game, it was probably the best goalkeeping performance alone that we've had this season at Spurs.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you're gonna have a goalkeeper and you're not gonna play him, why have him? Like, if you're gonna play him, okay.
Yeah,
then,
no, that's fair. That's fair. But I'm saying for me, we should be playing him, and that's why the signing of Kinski, what did personally, I don't see what Austin did to lose his place. He came in for a game, put in a solid performance, and then was dropped for a guy who's done nothing in the top leagues in Europe and who's been a complete mixed bag so far. He's done some things good, a couple of good bits of shot stopping, distribution, but some really poor playing out from the back. And that save against Aston Villa, does Austin do that? Well, we won't know because he didn't play the games. But for me, he didn't do anything wrong to drop him. For me, I'd rather have just stuck with him and signed other players and had him start for us instead of Kinski. Yeah, just a mixed bag of a transfer window, which isn't great for me. I think we needed proven quality. I'm looking at those signings and saying, do any of them improve our first team 100%, even 75%? I don't know. It's all 3 signings are, we'll wait and see what happens with them. Not, yes, we've got this player who's going to come in, he's going to fit in, and he's going to work at Spurs.
Look, yeah, it's crazy. Now that Kingsley, for me, he's young, 21, he's not matured yet as a goalie, and he's playing. He's so shaky. Let's be honest here. So shaky, isn't he? And it's quite normal, isn't it, right? For a new goalie coming in, young, going to make mistakes. There's some good things about him. He has made some good saves, but, I mean, it wasn't a priority signing in my eyes. It wasn't. It definitely wasn't. Yes, we probably do need a better second keeper, someone who can really challenge Vicario. Kinski, will he be the man? I don't know. Ian, what's your thoughts on the general transfer window and the goalies?
Thought the general transfer window was unimpressive. Start of the window, we didn't need another goalkeeper. You got Forster. I think Austin's played very well in the 2 games that where he had the shirts. You've got Whiteman thereafter, who's just a body to make up. But you've got 2 great kids coming through in Keeley and Gunter. So what is the point of buying Kinski? Just pointless, absolutely pointless. Then they left it a whole month till they went and bought the other players. They put all their eggs in Kolo Muani's basket. It was never going to pick us in front of Juventus and Man United. United are a much bigger name than us, and they are up near the top, and challenging for honours. So that was a waste of time. Unfortunately, that's where we are. So Danso, I think, will turn out to be a good buy. Couldn't tell you. He's 19. He's raw. Took his goal well. Will he be okay? Will he make a difference this season? Time will tell. Honestly, don't know. We needed another left-footed centre back to me, Danso is a right-footed centre-back. We've got Reggie on, but he doesn't play him as a backup for Udogie. Spence should be played right back, so with Porro pushed in front of him. So for me, there was room for another left back, which they didn't buy. So I'm just unimpressed. Not a great window.
I agree, man. I agree. Let's just read this comment out, and then we need to get on to Ange, what he said after the game. So it's all agreeable, but not many are talking about one of the real issues being going for a long time, that we never buy quality players. Instead, we always bring in bang average players and hoping to win. I agree, man. We never go out and buy top players or break the wage structure. It's a problem we've had for years under Levy. Massive, massive problem. Now, look, let's just summarise those two matches. Very, very disappointing as fans. A lot of fans were hanging on to the fact that we were still in the cups, and that's why we need to keep with Ange. Now we're out of both. When I look at that league, what are we doing? You know, other than pulling away from the relegation zone, I do not think we'll get a European spot. We're just not good enough under Ange. Will we win some games when the players come back? Yeah, I'm sure we will. But you look ahead at those fixtures, they're tough. They really are tough. So I just don't think we're really going anywhere in that league now. So all that leaves us with is the Europa League. And I've got something to say about Ange later about that. But look, let's move on to what Ange said after the game, because he did have a passionate, I don't know what you want to call it, a passionate, what he was saying. So it's basically, he was asked, how damaging have the 2 cup exits this week been for you? He said, it's not damaging for me. It's obviously disappointing for us in terms of our objectives. But for 2.5 months, this small group of players have given everything in multiple competitions. I think they've been outstanding. We've had 11 first-team players missing. We started with 4 teenagers, a 21-year-old goalie coming on to one of the best teams in the country away from home. After playing the best team in the country on Thursday night, after playing a Premier League game last Sunday, playing a Europa League game before that, the same group of players, no rotation, and they've been doing this since the middle of November. I think they've given everything they can, and I've got so much respect and admiration for the players now they've gone about that. We get a couple of midweeks off now, great for them to recover. We'll get some players back, which is also great for this group, and they'll get some help, and we move on. Man, guys, anyone want to say anything about that?
Waffle.
I mean, he does realise he has Reguilon, that he could play at left back. He could move Spence to right back, rest Porro, that's been crying out for rest. He does realise that he had Davis against Villa. He could have played Davis, give Gray a rest.
Yeah.
He's got players. I don't understand why he keeps saying this same group of players. It's because he's picking the same group of players. You have got players there you can play, you just won't.
He doesn't have, at the moment, Nigel, he doesn't have too many options, but he does have a few.
Yeah.
And he didn't take any of them. And that's down to him.
Yeah, you play the cards you dealt, don't you? You play the cards you dealt, and he's not playing them in the right way at the minute. It's just,
but he never has.
For me, people, yeah, I know, I agree. For me, people talk about him having a winning mentality. I just don't get it, because pre-season he's coming out with things such as, I always win things in my second season, coming out with there's no reason why we can't go on to win the league. And then you start hearing comments such as, I'm okay with conceding goals, and as long as we're entertaining when we start losing games, and then the injury stuff. It's like you're going back on everything you sort of said pre-season about your expectations and what we can achieve. He had an injury crisis midway through last season, despite winning the league at Celtic. He had an injury crisis there. These injury problems, obviously a few of them were unlucky, but I'm looking at 2 of our main ones, Romero and Van der Ven. Both were fit for that Chelsea game. Both were coming back, but what did he do? He played them, started them, ready to play them for 90 minutes, and they were immediately injured again. It's like they've just come back, maybe settle them back in, bring them on in a game that we're winning in the Europa League for 10, 15 minutes towards the end, let them get back to full fitness, but as soon as they're available, bang, put them straight back in there, ready to start in the first team for a 90-minute game, and both come out injured. So those 2 injuries I put down to him. Udogie, I think, has been completely overworked by this manager, so I put that down to him. If someone like a Spence or Gray now gets injured, that's down to him for me. Like you guys said, he has got options, whilst not loads. He has got cards that he should be doing better with. He has got players that he can rotate the ones that he's constantly playing now with. So it just sounds like excuses for me. It sounds like back up against the wall, throw back. You have to praise the players. You have to do this. And I don't like it. Wouldn't have it just been better? We're sorry to our fans. We didn't give enough. I got it wrong. The players didn't perform, because he didn't say the players deserve respect. They didn't perform. We apologise. We'll move on. No, but it has to come out with injuries, this, that, and yeah. I don't like it. Just accept it. Say you got it wrong. The players did it, or just say players didn't step up in the games, and yeah, it's just all wrong for me.
Yeah, look, there's so much more. Let's just get it out there. He was asked, do you still believe there's something to be hopeful about for the season? He said, yes, definitely. We're in a great position in Europe and we get an opportunity to improve our league form. We'll get some players back over the next couple of weeks. Plenty to look forward to. Well, guys, that Europa League, let's just talk about that now. Does anybody on the panel believe we have a chance under Ange in that Europa League? Let's start off with Nige. Let's go with Nige. I think we lost you, Nige. Or was it me?
No, I was muted. Yeah, no, not under Ange. I think if we get a new manager in, I think we definitely have the players to do something. But we've got no chance if Ange Postecoglou is manager for the Europa League. There are too many teams that will just rip us open. So yeah, for me, no.
No. And let's go to Ian. Europa League chances under Ange.
Well, I've said up to the last few weeks that I felt we were one of 5 or 6 teams that could win it, because I was thinking, we got to get through 7 games now, which is possible. Teams can win cups and not be the best team in the competition. Look at Wigan beat Man City a few 12 years ago, didn't you, in the FA Cup? These things happen. Teams get through. Plymouth have knocked out Brentford and Liverpool. Do I think at the moment we'd be struggling? I mean, we've got a game in 3 weeks' time, haven't we? 3 weeks on Thursday.
Yeah.
Unless he's got a full strength team virtually, and the players can turn it on enough during those 2 games to get through, I think I'm changing my mind, and I can't see us do it. I think we may well get through the last 16, but moving forward, having said that, with a new manager and a proper system in play, then I think we're good enough to win it. Definitely.
For me, Ange, right, all he is saying is about injuries. Yeah, that's the problem. He's not looking at himself. He's not taking any responsibility in how he sets the team up, how he structures the team, how we defend, how we attack. All he does is blame injuries. So if he's going to stick around in the job, he must win that Europa League. So because, once he gets his players back, right, and he will, what's his excuse going to be then? Anybody want to follow up on that, what I've said?
He doesn't have one. He won't have one. That's the thing. I mean, he's got an extremely short-term memory, because we lost to teams like Ipswich, Crystal Palace, due to Leicester on the opening day. We had fully fit sides for those. Just still drop points. We were bang average before all our players got injured. With fully fit sides, we were inconsistent. We were hit and miss. Now we're consistently bad, but it's not like we were performing brilliantly before the players got injured. It was so on and off from Spurs. So I just think injuries, as I say, whilst it has hindered us, obviously. What I was saying about the owners as well. Owners' injuries, they're the reason we're not first, second, third, fourth, right now for me. But the reason we're not 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, that is down to Ange, the way he's mismanaged his situation with the injuries and the squad that he's got and the cards that he's been dealt. And that is down, as I say, to these players not performing well enough. For me, the owners are the biggest reason for me as to why we're not winning trophies. We've had 24 years of failure and the club is rotten to the claw. But I think the manager has better than what we're getting right now, than 14th in the league, than 2 cup competitions out in 4 days with the whimper and poor performances. And like Ian said, it was the one earlier in the season, the Europa League, that I was banking on, putting all my eggs in that basket of, we've got a chance of winning that. But we're losing to teams like Leicester. We're 3-0 down at half time to teams like Everton. The tactics don't make sense. And Europe, as I say, you know, I'm looking at some of the games against teams like Galatasaray in the Europa League league phase, and I'm looking at the game against Roma, and I'm thinking as soon as we come up against a half decent side in this tournament, or whether we have a fully fit side or not, he'll get tactically found out and outclassed over 2 legs for me. He'll get figured out. And yeah, new manager who can come in, get the best out of the squad that he has, maybe I'd believe again. But right now, I mean, I really can't see it. I really can't. But look, Dan, apologies, I can't stay on for longer, mate.
No, Robbie, no worries, man. Thank you for
having us
coming on, mate. Take care of yourself.
Pleasure to be
People
on,
who's
and, good
watching,
to see you
please
all.
go and subscribe to Robbie. Let's get his link up in the chat, Nige. If you could do that for us, that would be great. Just get that on the
Much
screen for us.
appreciated, lads. Good to
Take
see
care,
you, Dan.
buddy.
Good to see you,
Speak to you
Nige,
soon.
Matty, Ian, everyone in the chat. Come on, you Spurs.
Cheers, Robbie.
See you later.
Take
See ya.
care.
Take care, mate.
And then there were 4. Right. Back. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is that Ange he's standing behind this injuries. That's all he's talking about. And so, Ange, you got to win that Europa League. You got to do it. And what excuse is it going to be? Same old excuses. I bet. I bet.
We have more of a chance of winning the Europa League with Ryan Mason than we do with Ange, and I'd rather. I mean, the only reason Ange isn't sacked yet for me is because Levy knows the second he's sacked, all the things are getting pointed at him. It'll be a lot more fierce on Sunday if Ange is sacked, because everyone will be going for Levy. All the media will be going for Levy. At the moment, lots of the media is going for Ange, and lots of the talk is about Ange. The second Ange is gone, I think it will be about Levy. And that's the only reason why, in my opinion.
Guys,
Depends who he brings in, though, doesn't it?
what, as a manager?
Levy's quite clever. Levy's quite clever in that sense. He will have us being linked with the top names that will take a bit of pressure off him. I'm not saying they hired him, but you watch. If Ange gets sacked, we'll be linked with all the best managers around Europe before we finally get someone goddamn awful.
I don't think anything's going to change. If we can get anyone in, we can get Iraola in. I don't think anything's going to change in the long term. But like, maybe he can get us Europe. Maybe he can get us a Carabao Cup. But long term, nothing's changing.
Yeah,
Honestly.
no, you're right, Matty. Long term, look, as Spurs fans, what we can expect is a decent coach coming in and getting the best out of the group of players that we have. You know, challenge for European positions, try and win the cup. Under Levy, we're never really going to do anything other than that because we don't break the wage structure. We don't buy top players. But this is so bad this season, right? This is awful. I don't know how Ange is still in the job, but he's here. He's still there. So what do? Yeah, we just have to watch this rubbish every week. If it was me, I would have sacked Ange beginning of January and got a manager in, but it hasn't happened. I have no hope that Ange will get us through that Europa League, even though that's the task I'm setting him. He's just not good enough tactically. We were underperforming before the injuries. We were underperforming last season. What's he suddenly going to do when you get into that next round? We're going to come up against some tricky teams. Yeah, good managers. And they'll know how to play Spurs. Anybody can beat us. Yeah. So I'm not hopeful at all. But as Ian said, you know, you're in it. There's always a chance, and I get that.
I mean,
Sorry, Matty, did you want to say something?
I'd love for us to win it. I've never seen a trophy in my life. I was born a few months after the Carabao Cup win. So yeah, I'd love to win anything.
Keep faith, Matty. You got a long wait while Enoch are in charge.
Yeah.
But stay with it. They won't be in charge forever.
Oh, imagine another 25 years of Enoch, eh?
Oh, God.
Look, let's go over a few more things he said because he's still going. He said a lot in this post-match interview. He said it was asked. He says, "Does it feel like there's a reset point coming this week? And how frustrating is it that these knockout games have come before that?" So he said, "Yeah, the timing of things. Just fortunate for us that we couldn't get a couple back. We were hoping to get a couple back for last week, and it didn't happen. We could have risked a couple, but with what's ahead, we want to conserve them for that. It's a bit of a reset. We'll get 3, maybe 4 players back this week with the possibility of 1 or 2 others in the week or 2 after that. More importantly, this group that have been going to go and get some rest. They can go a whole week now without having to get up for another game. We got back from Liverpool at 2 a.m. on Friday, the early hours of the morning, so they can get some rest they desperately need physically and mentally. It's shocking, isn't it, guys, what he's saying? Blaming getting home late.
It's all part of it. Dan, it's all part of it.
It's
all part of it. They're being pushed to the limits, these boys. He's got no options. He's got loads of injuries. He's playing the same players. They're playing 3 games or Sunday, Saturday, or Thursday, Saturday, or Wednesday, or Sunday. It's been going on for 10 weeks.
Do you sympathise with him, Ian?
A little bit because of the injuries. But then, having said that, half the injuries are his fault anyway.
Yeah, this is it. He's to blame.
So, but I sympathise with the players that are being run into the ground. I sympathise with them. It can't help. Porro's played 35 games already. We're not even halfway through February. So,
question for you, Ian. When your doggy's back, who are you playing if everyone's fit? Spence, your doggy, or Porro? Like as 2 fullbacks.
What team would I pick with everybody fit? I'd start with Vicario. I'd play Spence and Udogie as fullbacks. Romero, Van der Ven. Midfield, I'd start with Gray and give him a run and see how he goes, because I think the midfield's just been so poor that we're at the point now that you may as well get, you brought him in as a midfield player, albeit, funny enough, I was reading today that he was bought as an 8, not a 6. But give him a chance as a 6. He did okay as a centre-back. I'd play, up front, I'd play Solanke, Tell and Johnson, and I dropped Son. And in midfield with Gray, I would probably play, Christ, it's a hard one. I'd play Maddison and probably Basuma.
I agree with everything except the midfield. I'd play in midfield probably either Gray, Bergvall, or Ansar, or Gray, Kulu, and Bergvall.
I think Kulu's knackered.
Yeah.
I think he lost his spring. If you think about the goal that we scored at Rangers, where he came in off the wing, played a 1-2, went round behind the player and put the ball in the back of the net. He's just not moving like that at the moment. There's no spring off. He's turning like a tanker at the moment. And he needs a rest. He's wiped out. You can see it. His performances have fallen off a cliff the last few weeks. So he's got to have a rest. And Maddison, how many games has Maddison played? How many minutes has Maddison played? And his stats this year, although on the eye you wouldn't think he's been that great, his stats are on a par with pretty much anybody in the team. So,
I mean, Madison's got a lot of goals this season. But with Gray, I was just thinking about it today. So in pre-season, when we went to QPR away, we were playing Gray as centre-back, and we thought it was like trying him out. But ever since then, we played him at centre-back, left-back, and right-back. And I'm wondering, because we had like our full squad then, with like 5 centre-backs fit. So why were we playing Gray centre-back there? And I'm wondering if we brought him in as a centre-back or a left-back or a right-back.
Listen, thank goodness he's been there, because he's been there to fill in. And he's only played as many games as he has, we know, because of injury. And also, the transfer strategy in the summer was poor. We ended up with 23 players in the Europa League squad.
Yeah.
That's just appalling planning. They had months and months. They knew the rules with the Europa. They knew they were different to the Premier League, and were short players.
Yeah.
Just mad. Absolutely mad.
Oh,
but that's the club. That's the club. There's no excuse for leaving yourself 2 players short in a squad of 25.
No excuse. Let's finish off with these Ange quotes, because there's more. He said a lot. He says, so he's asked the question, do the players deserve to be judged when you've got a fully fit squad? He says, I don't know whether they are or not. I was saying in there, take back 4 of Vicario, Dragerson, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Maddison, Johnson, Solanke, Odebert, Werner. Take them all out of any team. How did Liverpool get on today? And they just did it for 1 game. Do that for 2.5 months. Any team, do that for 2.5 months in multiple competitions. I don't care about me. People would judge me, but you can't judge this group of players on that happened. They're given everything, the performance. Like I said, the two 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 17-year-old, 21-year-olds, goalkeeper starting against one of the best teams in the country at home. They've had a week off. They didn't play Thursday night against Liverpool. We did. Same group of players, not a change. You can't measure this group of players on that and their performance when they're at it. It's too easy for people to be critical of them. I just have huge admiration of the respect for them. We kind of knew this game was going to be finishing line because we knew what was coming ahead in terms of midweeks off and getting some players back. But they tried their hardest, and that's all you can ask. There's so much, isn't it? So much he's been saying. He's really fighting for it, isn't he?
The fans aren't judging the players. We're not judging the players. We're judging Ange. So when Ange is saying, don't judge the players, we're not. We're judging him. He's the one who's screwing up, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, it just feels like excuse after excuse at the moment now with him.
Oh, yeah. Guys, it's more. Let me just finish off it, and then we're going to talk about something else. Because it's just really, it's just so many excuses, isn't it? I get it. I get what he's saying. Let's bring in Corey.
Yeah, Corey, Korski. How are we doing, boys? Yeah,
thanks for jumping on. How are you?
That's good, man. Oh, just recovering from being a Tottenham fan. I feel like a bad addict. Not my system as much as I try being a fan for almost 40 years, but it's one calamity after another under Levy, isn't it? So...
Man, have you been listening in?
I have. I've been in and out trying to sort out the flat, stripping the wallpaper off the walls and so forth to try and get my home looking good again.
What's anything you want to say? Just recently, what we've been talking about. We're going through Ange's press conference. You're coming up with all of excuses. Is there anything you want to add?
It's insert excuse here with him, isn't it? I would say a prideful man, wounded and hurt, but at the same time, it's more of us fans being wounded and hurt. This guy's getting paid X amount of money each year to make the decisions that are important in a football match. And you can't even get the tactical system right in the Premier League. It's all right rocking up saying I've won everywhere ever I've been, but you've got to look at the places he's been where he's won, the J League and the Scottish League, two leagues that are ranked massively in the coefficient in UEFA or FIFA, lower than the MLS. Even one of the countries is lower than the Saudi Pro League, my dude. So it's like you could be I could be the manager of Scotland with no coaching badges, rock up there with the infrastructure and money they've got and win that league. It's like 12 teams, one wins it every year with 11 runners up. The league is not impressive enough to say or boast that you've won something in. It really isn't. And the fact that the guy was fifth or sixth choice on the list of managers we went down, you just got to sit there and shake your head in disbelief.
Don't know. I thought he was third on the list.
Was he third? I thought he was like fifth or sixth. From what I've read things differently.
I thought Nagelsmann slot then Ange.
Oh, I wanted Nagelsmann. You could go back to about 2 years ago when all this come up. I was on Savage Show. If we get this guy, we're doomed. Just look at his track record for injuries. And I got told that I was negative 2 years ago. Well, 2 years on, am I right again? You know what I mean? I keep bashing my head against the wall with Levy inners, Ange inners every day. I mean, I'm in about 15 different Tottenham groups, and about 11 of them I've got muted because the other 4 only speak truth or sense, It's just ridiculous. I mean, if some of these fans cannot see what is going on with Levy in the background and bringing in subpar managers and subpar players, we're destined to play in the Championship at some point. I can just feel it. Isn't it weird after every loss, we get a loss? Breaking news, Beyonce's at the stadium. Don't care, I've never listened to a Beyonce song. Tottenham had just lost to Ipswich, Kendrick Lamar. Oh, we just lost, say, 5-0 to Chelsea. Let's bring in Jay-Z. I would be more interested if you brought in someone I actually cared about. I'm a metalhead. I don't want to listen to some pop music woman that's just won a country music record over a guy that should have fucking won it. And the guy that should have won it is actually a country music genius. And you're like, right, this woman's coming in to sell tickets to make Levy richer. Great.
Oh, dear. Oh, so when did you want Ange out then? That was before he even got here then, it sounds like.
Yep, before he even stepped foot in the door. I didn't want him in the first place. It was literally, all right, we're linked to this joker. Just look at his track record of injuries for the other clubs he's been at. Waiting for it to happen here. Insert next injury. You got to look at a player like Mickey van der Ven. He had 2 very strong seasons in Germany, 1 injury. 18 months under Ange, 4 injuries and a potential operation to fix his hamstring, if it can even be repaired at this point. You got to look at the poor guy. You've ruined that guy's career. You've got players that don't want to play for you, but have got to say otherwise. You know, you're getting players like Cuti Romero coming up. Oh yeah, he's a good manager, but you secretly sit there thinking, I don't want to play for this prick anymore.
Sorry.
Right, let's go through this agenda-driven thing now Ange is going on about. So he says, do you hope to still get the time to work with the players coming back? He says, I'm not talking about me. People can judge me. They say I've done a bad job. I'm not up for it or whatever. That's fine. What I'm saying is you can't be critical of players or players' performances at this time, because if you do, then you do that with everyone else. Be critical of other clubs when they've got 9 or 10 or 11 players out and none of them have, and play every week. It's too much. Honestly, it just goes on and on and on. And this bit about the agenda driven, that's just agenda driven stuff. If it's to get rid of me, that's fine. Good on you. Go for it 1,000,000 times. But in terms of this group of players, what they have given over the past 2.5 months has been outstanding. Credit to them. I can't speak highly enough, man. It's just too much.
It's a joke.
It's Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, 10 players out. Where are they? Forest. They've got 6, 7 players out. 3rd in the league. And again, a manager we sacked because we didn't like him for the first 5 to 10 games of the season. Now look at him flying in the Premier League. It's not the injuries, it's the tactics. It's how you train the players on and off that pitch. Eric Dyer even said in an interview that he doesn't do coaching or training properly. Like, come on. A guy that we got rid of because we thought wasn't good enough, I'd happily have him back in a heartbeat because at least he's a leader.
So why are so many people still behind Ange then? Because I thought a lot were saying they're out, but there's still quite a big following that want to keep Ange. Why?
In my opinion,
First of all, the press conference is him basically. He's fighting for his job, and that's a message to Levy. So that's how I interpret the press conference. Secondly, sorry, what was the last thing you said, Dan? So I was focusing on the rants.
He said that's gender-driven stuff.
Yeah, that was clever. That was clever.
Why?
That was clever. Because he's basically saying to Levy, don't listen to the masses. So that was a clever thing to come out with for him.
But then you've got to add to that, Lubo, it's the masses that pay to go in the stadium, that pay for your drinks in the stadium, your food, your merchandise, everything. Once it starts affecting his pocket, he'll pull the trigger. But I've seen better managers sacked for less. And how the guys getting away with it.
But Corey, it's not affecting his pocket at the moment, is it?
Well, not really, because he can just go, right, next loss, who can we bring into the stadium next? I'm waiting for it to be WrestleMania 52 or something. It's going to be nominated in the stadium rather than next loss, you know.
No, but look at the crowds every week. He's going to get a full house on Sunday.
Yeah. But then you got to think about how many fans are coming down from Manchester, if any of them are coming from Manchester, but how many fans are really coming from Manchester down?
There's only 3,000 tickets for away fans anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. There'll be, it'll be a full house. It'll be not far off 62,000. He doesn't care. This club shop will be busy. The bars and the food halls in the ground will be busy. Doesn't care. Doesn't give a damn. As long as the money's rolling in, he only cares when it doesn't. And at the moment, the fan base are not voting with their feet. So,
guys, I've got to say goodbye to Matty. He's jumping off. Thanks, Matty, for coming on, mate. I appreciate it. I hope you've had a good show with us.
Thanks for having me. What last thing to say? Yeah, I agree that Ange should be out, but I think that there's a bigger problem at the club, and that's very clear, and that needs to be sorted soon. And we need to put as much pressure on the board. So I want to see everyone at that protest on Sunday. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Matty, and everybody. Please subscribe to Matty if you haven't. He's just started a channel. So yeah, big up, Matty. Thanks for jumping on with us. I'll speak to you soon.
Nice to see you. Thanks so much for having me. Bye.
Take care, buddy.
Night, Matty.
See you.
Should we talk about the protests? Let's move into that now. Yeah.
Okay.
Ian, do you want to take this one?
Yes, I think it's important that people turn up. I'm up north. I'm in the northeast overnight Saturday. I'm getting in the car early and driving down so I can hopefully be involved in the protest. I think it is, he's built a business and he's killed a football club. So I think it's absolutely crucial. Good timing there, Brian, which is talking about Sunday.
Yeah, you timed that, Brian, did you?
The magic word. The
He
magic
timed
word.
it,
Were you waiting for it?
Hey, his name and
he heard the names, the word Sunday, and he was like, bang, I'm on. It's just important for everybody to turn up and for everyone to turn up who is able to turn up and get there, go with the march, and just make yourself heard on Sunday, because this is a most fantastic club that we've had. Club's been going since 1882. There have been some fantastic nights, fantastic days at Wembley, particularly European nights, and it's being killed by these owners. They have absolutely no interest in the football. They were honest about it when they took over the club. They said they see football as a means of making a profit. Nobody can say they're doing anything underhand. You would have thought possibly, that football's such a brilliant game. You would have thought that they would have actually got involved and thought, you know what, this is brilliant. What an industry, what a business to be involved in. To be involved, in football and Tottenham Hotspur, it's just amazing. And the fans and the atmosphere at the Old Lane was so much better, and they were part of that. And Levy could have been an iconic chairman if he'd just him and Lewis. It's not just Levy's fault because Lewis is the senior shareholder. It's Enoch, and if they could have just gone the extra yard, it's all very well getting involved and building fantastic real estate, but people talk about. I heard Sean today talking about the match day experience for fans. And I've got to say I disagree. If you want the experience of the ground, go on a stadium tour, come out, have a chat with your pals about the stadium. That's fine. It's a lovely stadium. It's a super stadium. It's one of the best in the world. When I go on match day, I go to watch my team. I don't go to admire the stadium. That's for another day. And I feel cheated. All those moments and those memories that other clubs have had. It's in the last 24 years, and we've had a few, but it's been a very small amounts. We've had a year with Harry, maybe a half a year with Martin Yole. We've had a few years with Poch, and that's it out of 24 years. This year is the worst. This is the worst year I can remember, probably since the relegation year of '77. And the one time you want Daniel Levy to act like a Levy, he doesn't, and he's not pressed the trigger with this manager, and the whole thing is just a shit show. And we want our Tottenham back, and the only way we're going to do that is by getting rid of these owners who pretty much set up every manager to fail. So it's really imperative that fans get behind change for Tottenham and come through this weekend.
Guys, let me just say a proper hello to Brian. I hope you're well, buddy. Thanks for jumping on, and to Eugene as well. Good evening to you, and thanks for joining us tonight. So, who wants to take the protest next? Nige, you have anything to say about the protest?
Just that whoever can go should absolutely go 100%. Yeah, I want my Tottenham back. There's not many things in life that I love more than this club. Probably my kids, and that's it. This club means everything to me. I've supported them since 1981, and yeah, whoever can go can go. I sadly won't be at this one, but hopefully next, if there's another one, I will be. It's very difficult because I got my little girl this weekend, and I live 3 hours away, so getting her there, it was just too much hassle. So but yeah, if there's a weekend when I haven't got her and there's a march, I will 100% be there. But whoever can be there, just be there, show your support, and we need change. Whether it's getting Levy out or whether it's getting him to change and put the football club first, I don't care what it is, but something needs to change.
Okay, right. Who wants to take it next?
Do you know what? I think I might have a stab at this question. I may have a stab at it. Look, Change for Spurs have also, the work they're doing has been incredible. There's also been an article about them and the planned protest released in the Evening Standard today, just now. The great thing about it is the traction it's getting. It has blown up bigger than anything ever before. As people will know, I've tried with others, and we did what we did, but the exposure we just couldn't get. Well, now, because of the way that the football owners have treated the footballing aspect of it, it's especially since being in this new stadium. I speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people say to me, "Do you know what? When we moved into this stadium, I'm going to give them a chance to see what they do, because now the revenue comes, now this comes, now that comes. Let's see how they treat the football club." And a lot of people have now said, "That's it. It's been 5 years, 6 years. I think it's March or April. I think it's March, late March. It'll be 6 years we've been here." And the second game we ever had in that stadium was a Champions League quarter-final against Manchester City. Look where we are now. To tell you the truth, the club have done it to themselves. It's all well and good what I've tried to do with many other people. Ian's been at protest with me, what we've done at training grounds, whatever. But for whatever reason, there was not people like, "Nope, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet." Well, now they are. Now they are. And the way Change for Spurs have dealt with this has been exceptional. The way they've approached everything has been brilliant. It's got not just Spurs fans talking about it. It's got worldwide media with their eyes focused on it. It's got people who don't support the club releasing videos saying, "Do you know what? Spurs fans, look what you're going through." It is being seen with both eyes wide open now. And there is a great cause on Sunday. And as people were alluding to, what we've got to remember here, and it's so important, is on Sunday, even if you don't have a ticket to a ticket for the game, or you said, "I'm not going down there just when what can I do when the protest is inside?" Well, there's a protest outside. If you can get there. Obviously, if you can't get there, whether it be distance, family issues, work issues, obviously you can't get there. There's going to be many more. But anyone that does want change, anyone that has said, "Do you know what? I need to do something about this." Anytime someone has said, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get the numbers. I don't think they'll get the numbers," go there. Go there. And a lot of people sometimes say, "Yeah, but the game's not on TV. Am I going to watch the game?" Well, the game is on TV. It's on regular or Sky and TNT. It doesn't need to be on dodgy boxes where pubs won't show it. You can get to the ground. You can protest. And again, like I said, this is if you can and if you believe in it. It's kind of like when people say, "Well, if you don't vote, you haven't got a say." And they don't. There's a chance now to make a real impact. And what people have got to realise as well, this isn't just about the pressure on Levy. Obviously, that's the top goal. That is the top goal. But the amount of people that are at that protest, that march, the bigger the numbers, the bigger the exposure. We've had it when we were doing it. When I was organising the training ground once, I had it arranged that the BBC were down there to interview us and did an interview with me and others. Sky came down, and there were times when we had it opposite the club shop, and Sky were prepared to do it. But the one thing that was missing was the numbers. And if we want to get as much exposure as possible, the numbers count. The numbers have such a big sway in this, and from what we're seeing across all social media and everywhere and all the other platforms, there are a lot of people that are feeling this way. And I'm just hoping the ones that feel the way, that can get to that ground, can do it. And do remember that during the game, they have loads of plans. Whether people think boycotting, which is a way forward, but obviously you need thousands to do it, and whether they do is another thing. But then there's the sit-in, which is going to get mass exposure if thousands are prepared to stay in and do it. And again, if you've got family with young kids that you need to get back, or elderly relatives you need to get back, or whatever, last train or whatever it may be, it's understandable. But if you're living in London or close enough and you can spare an hour, 2 hours, whatever it may be, to lend support, the bigger the numbers, the more the exposure. The more the exposure, the more the sponsors and the corporates will be like, well, I invested money into you for good causes, to promote my brand, to have an affiliation. Well, they will get on top of Tottenham and say, listen, this is not what we signed up for. It's not going to be after one protest, okay, I surrender, off we go. This is a process, and it's building and building and building and building. And anyone that can get there, because this is vital. If you feel this way about the ownership, that you lend your support, and the Spurs voice is a lot louder, or the Spurs fans, shall I say, their voice is a lot louder if there's more people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you there.
Spot
I'll
on,
let
man.
Eugene say, and I've got my piece. So that's Brian and Eugene and you.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm in America, so I can't attend the protest. I would otherwise, but anything that I can do, I'll do. I know many international fans feel the same way. Yeah, as Brian said, the protests are critical. I remember when Liverpool fans had a protest about the ticket prices. It was all over the news. Everybody was talking about it. Same as Man U fans when they had their protests. With Spurs fans, it's tough. It seems like it's tough to organize something where everybody's on the same page. So hopefully this is a start of a movement where fans can get their voices heard. So I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully it's not a one-off. And hopefully the fans stop bickering and arguing with each other about smaller things, about players, managers, so forth, and just focus all their energy on what matters. It's Levy and the board and the changes for the club. Otherwise, nothing will ever change. So,
Yeah.
Thank you, Eugene. Corey, go on. Your turn.
For me, it's been 17, going on 18 years now that I've been wanting this guy at the club. Losing Martin Jol at Getafe was my eye-opening experience to what this club was really about back then. For me, Tottenham is a way of life. You know, I've been brought up in a very Tottenham supporting family, apart from probably 3 of my cousins that support different clubs, I'm not naming of which. One of them's a gooner. To me, Tottenham is a way of life. I was brought up going up there with my granddad from Brighton. You know, we'd get up dead early in the morning, get my uncle, get my cousin, travel up to the old lane. Something special about that old ground on the south stand. The leaky old toilet. I remember that well. Here, drip, drip, drip. The sweet stand in the corner. Even sing the songs of old, you know. I don't hear that from fans in the new stadium. I mean, I haven't been to the new stadium, but I haven't heard any of the old songs that I used to sing with my granddad and my uncle, my cousins, you know. This new stadium has taken our soul away as Spurs supporters. You know, the old lady itself, White Hart Lane, she had a special place in all of our hearts as Spurs fans. To our first game, to our last game. My last game was the last game of the season, just as we were going to tear it down. To me, this is my first protest. I've been meaning to try and get up to so many of them, but so things have got in the way, like life, my son, things come in the way. But this weekend, I'm literally making it. This is my protest. With protests come consistency. We've got to be on the ball with this, people. This is a call to arms. You put your hand on your heart. if this is what is true to you, you call your team name out, you scream it like a loud voice, you bang it like a loud drum. Football can be primal, but it doesn't need to be violent. This is a peaceful protest, people, but let your song sing, let your pride flow, keep it peaceful, don't swear, there's going to be kids there. Make it so that these owners can't use it against us when we're protesting. You know they're going to put moles and plants somewhere along the route to join in, but, you know, real fans be able to sniff that out in a mile away. It's just, we got to make sure this is peaceful, done correctly, and then consistently. Because every protest that is going to be on from this, I'm going to try my hardest to get to. For some time, I talk to Brian and Kuva on a daily basis about things that I could do better as a Spurs fan, and, you know, it's just one of them things. It's got to be done correctly, properly, with enough planning behind each protest, each one. If we can get the numbers, ramp it up. I mean, the Arsenal fans managed to get thousands of them all together to protest. I can't see why we can't do the same thing. If we all love this club and we're all passionate about this club, the truth is going to come out. People's truths will come out about what they feel and think, but some of them are too scared to really act upon what they want to do.
Can I just address something very, very quickly in the chat? I just want to address JJJ's comments, where he says, you suckers paying Levy every week and even pay to call him names at the stadium. Do you know what? You look to the top right of me, probably top left on your screens, and I will speak about a very dear friend of mine in Lubin, who has been going for decades, as many others have, who will put pressure on Daniel Levy and the owners, will hold them accountable, will make a noise. I would rather have 60,000 Ian Lubins in there, knowing that they'd make noise, as opposed to other people getting hold on their tickets and not making a sound and being crickets and accepting what goes on. Listen, boycotting is a very big thing, and I agree it's the only way he'll probably listen with not people in the ground like Arsenal did, like the Filth did. The Filth coordinated with thousands and thousands and thousands to do it, and they stuck to it. I don't know if our fan base would. The easiest thing to stop doing, rather than going for a full boycott immediately, is just to stop people, or hopefully people will stop buying food and beers and soft drinks and everything in that stadium. Obviously, again, if there's people that need to take medication and need a drink, understandable. If there's people with young kids that need being fed, understandable. But you're not going to get a boycott. You're not going to get a walkout. Unfortunately, there are hardcore fans like Ian, like myself, if I won't step foot in there, but that's my choice. And obviously I live in Toronto now, so it doesn't matter. I wouldn't be there. There are people that would say, do you know what? If you plan to walk out, I will do it. But you need thousands upon thousands upon thousands to do it, to have the desired impact, to have it. And also with the money that Spurs fans have to spend on their season tickets, because like Ian and many before them, they had their season tickets way before Levy was even an idea, and they'll have their season ticket long after Levy's gone. There's people that go to these games that have stressful jobs, stressful lives, and their one single release every single week is going to support their football team. And I use that word, team. And like I said, if you had to tell me, I had the choice of multiple people feeling like Ian does. I'm just using Ian as an example because he's on this stream rather than go through the list of other people. I would rather the ground was filled with Ian Lubins, giving Levy hell and causing a racket and noise, than playing the odds and seeing if people would walk out and boycott, because the fans just won't do that part. So whereas I understand where JJJ is coming from with saying giving him money, stop going to the club shop. Stop going and spending money in the bars afterwards. They may be cheaper because he's done that intentionally. Go to the Coach and Horses. Go to the Antwerp Arms. Go to the Beehive. Go to the Bricklayers. I'm not going to name all the pubs. I'll be here till Sunday. There are other ways to do it. You can't just go, right, boycott, and everyone goes, oh, yeah, sure, let's do that. There's financial people. There's people that can't afford to say, do you know what, I cannot afford, whether it be a £60 ticket or a £93 ticket, to say I can't afford, if I'm not going, to not put that ticket on the exchange. We have to play this the correct way. We have to do this the right way and where the numbers will count. And unfortunately, boycotting is just not going to work right now. So calling people out it's time for that to stop. Like I said, I'd rather have 60,000 in Lubins in there than roll the dice and see who else gets in there and what they'll do. So just wanted to bring that up because it's not fair on these people that do go. And Ian has travelled home and away. Ian, when was your first away game?
Well, first away game was 69.
So there you go. I mean, I'm not even going to do the maths here. I'm not Carol Vorderman.
First home game was, Good Friday, 65, April the 16th. So it'll be 60 years this year. So why should I stop? Why should Levy push me out? Exactly. And you know what? The best thing is when you hear the ground singing "We want Levy out" and get out of our club, and that carries far more weight for me than anything else. Let him hear. You know, if he's any sort of human being, he won't want to hear that. What human being does?
This is the thing. Like I said, do you know the impact? If you look at it, the impact. If let's just say, my little bro, my little buddy, put out a video after the Leicester game when obviously the first protest went out, and it just showed that bar rammed with people spending money there. Although, granted, it was dead silence. There was no singing or conga lines or oops upside your head dances around. But if those people just stopped, let's just say, I'm being reasonable here. Don't expect 100%. 10 to 15% of them said, you know what? I'm not going to spend money in the bar. I'm not going to spend money on food. I'm either going to get out and get my train or whatever method home, or I'm going to go into pubs, cafes, restaurants outside. That 15%, they'll notice in a heartbeat. They'll be like, oh, wait a minute, hold on.
Sure.
And then you build on it. If people in the club shop were like, do you know what? I'm not going to... And again, when the international fans come over, they have this one opportunity. They're going to spend. It's ridiculous. Unless they feel like myself and others, they won't go in there. They'll find other means to buy stuff. But stop going in that shop. Stop buying the products there. That's the first step. And if that starts happening, then you can say, right, you know what? If people are boycotting spending money in the bar, even though it's cheaper than going to the pubs, because Levy's done it that way, if they're not going into the shop, and there's not those massive queues every single weekday, then you know, okay, there's people that are actually staying away. Then you start talking boycotts. It's got like change for Spurs have done. It's a gradual build up, and it's getting more and more intense as we speak. So it's got to be done right. It's got to be done right, and where we can make an impact, have an impact, and to say straight away, don't go in. It's not going to happen, unfortunately.
And why not help the guys who had businesses around the grounds? You know, for anyone who likes Chinese, you go into Noodle King, you get a nice big box of Chinese for £8.50.
Yeah,
that's fills you up. End of.
Guys, I've got a super chat here from Time for Change. Thank you so much for that. Just want to say, everyone that will be here Sunday with us, big up. I think also a place for a petition to be signed that can be passed to all the channels.
That sounds like a good way to not attack it. Sounds like a bad word to say, like address the situation. If all the channels that think and feel like this put their pasts aside. I mean, I used to be so against certain channels and going on, but now I've come to realise the rest of the fans out there are starting to feel the same as us. We're fans, we're passionate about this club, and maybe once these partition, I know a few years ago, Brian told me they did a partition to send off to the club and it didn't work. But maybe if we can get more than just a couple of thousand people signing a petition not just for the channels, but for fans as well to say if they're happy with this or not. The more numbers pushed through, the better.
The petition we tried, or a few people released, and it was going around all WhatsApp groups, wherever it got a few thousand. But I think there's bigger. The petition, you need like multiple. You need close to hundreds of thousands, and whether that comes. But what you got to remember as well, which is a massive, massive part of this. And when I did the protest with the group of people that I did it with, it was very, very focused on the people that are going to matches, the match day people that are going there. Why, if there's 62,500 people there, are there not more people protesting alongside us if they feel this way? But the great thing that's happened recently is I think we've all woken up and realised that it doesn't matter about obviously being there on Sunday and getting there. The numbers are important, but we missed, and it wasn't intentional or because we didn't recognise it. It was the international fan base. The international fan base. You think 62,000 people go to the ground, and then you take out the away fans, the corporate. There are hundreds of thousands, millions of international Spurs fans. Whether they all feel the same way as us is another thing. But the international fan base have a massive part to play in this. And I think the fact that Change for Spurs have recognised this and started to include it, this is a huge, what's the right word? A huge tool at our disposal now that when we were protesting didn't even realise or focus on. It was solely match day going fan, match day going fan, match day going fan. Whereas now, the international fan base, who can play a massive part, are starting to, and they're feeling included. They felt this way for a long time, but it's like, how can I help? How can I help? And now they are, and that's the huge thing. That's been a huge missing point in previous attempts.
Sorry, I just got to go back to that last comment about the ink. Brian hasn't got back to me what my forfeit is yet.
Yep. Well, no, we had a vote. And it was you get a Tottenham on tour tattoo. I've made tattoo bets and I honour them, so we'll see. But that's not for now. This is a different show.
Yeah.
Right, guys, let me say my bit, right? Because I haven't said my bit about it all. Now, look, I said to myself in the summer, like, I need to do something. I ain't done enough. You know, I question myself. What have I actually done? You know, part of my reason of coming onto YouTube and speaking out about the club, it gives me a chance I can do that every week. No, I have to say, everybody, as many people as possible, to get down to that protest. I was at the last one, and it was bigger than the one previously. I heard a great start. I'm going to try and get down to the one on Sunday. I'm going to do my best, but if I'm not there, I'll be definitely at the next one. We have to do it. We have to challenge this board. It's gone on for far too long. I've had enough of it. So many of us are sick of it. The only way change is going to happen is if we make Levy and the board uncomfortable, sing Levy out in the ground, attend the protest, do the stay in protest in the game, the march, and it's got to be consistent now. And it does feel like this is going to be consistent this time. I've got a really good feeling about this. It's just something has to change with this club. They either sell or they change massively what goes on a football pitch. You know, we all see it. You know, they put everything else first other than the football pitch. You know, not paying the wages for top players, never breaking the wage structure. And, you know, this season has been atrocious, absolutely atrocious, and the worst for so many years. Something's got to give. We can't go on like more.
Season, though, Dan, is getting rid of the one that got me this season. £30 million worth of wages off the books.
Exactly.
Most of those players were okay. They weren't the greatest of players, but at least they were leaders. Eric Dyer might have not been the greatest, but there was a point Man United wanted to pay 50 million for him. The guy was a leader. So I could look across some of these transfers that we let go, and I'm like, these guys were leaders. Why did we let them go? Because they pushed back against it. Kane you imagine if Kane was still here? Do you really think he'd be putting up with this any longer? He'd be the first one up to leave. Like, this guy's a joke. Get rid of him. But he's got every player that has had a voice has gone, and he's just bringing in these younger players because they know they won't backchat the manager because it's their chance to play. But these boys have got to realise now that this club means a lot to us, and then we're effectively paying their wages.
Look, you're right, man. It's shocking. And I commend the people to Time for Change for doing all of this and really pushing it, and for everybody getting involved. Everybody, big up to everybody in this. You know, we all have to come together, as many fans as possible, and I'm really hoping that there is a massive turnout on Sunday. I really do, and it gets all the press attention, Levy's attention. Yeah, and something's got to give. It's got to give, guys.
Let's hope so.
It's like that old saying, was it the definition of insanity? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. Well, maybe it's time to get the insanity out and just get rid of all of this shit, leave it at the door, and get on board with each other now. And really, it's got, like I said earlier, it has to be consistency. You can't just turn up to one protest and then hope for things to change. It's going to have to be another bigger match, say a Liverpool or a Chelsea or shit, even if it was like a Ipswich. Every home game that we got now is effectively a way for us to protest. We've got, 14 games left in the league. 7 of those are at least at home. We've got 7 more weeks of this to really push this through, and then to carry it on through the summer, even when the club is on the break, you know, throughout the summer. We've got to keep pushing this through when we can. It has to be done. If other clubs and their fan bases can get behind the support of the team instead of an ownership, it has to be done. This ownership has to change. It has to change its ways. It has to do things better. It has to do things differently. Otherwise, we're going to be left in the dust and fighting above relegation every year like Everton. It's just, things have really got to start waking up with other fans as well. We can't be at loggerheads. We all support and love this team, but other fans have got to see with the eye test. You know, it's just not sitting with some fans, and other fans have seen success at this club, have seen us lift things. I mean, I've been on this planet 40 short years, and in 40 short years, I've seen 3 cups. So 40 years on an average, every year it's hit a 1, we've won something, apart from the last 10 years. You know, it's just a little bit of a joke now. It's the success of the club has become non-existent to these guys. Profit, pushing out people that can afford tickets back in the day. Hell, I could go out for a day at the Amex on one cost of the price of a ticket at Levy Land. And that's saying something about the Brighton ticket prices. A Category A game down at Brighton for the Tottenham match was close to £63 for a season ticket. No, not for a season ticket person, for a normal ticket, 63 quid. Juniors, children under 15, you can get them in for 20 quid. You know, there you go, 80 quid, you can go out and watch Tottenham play at Brighton. Whereas you'd be paying close to 3 times that if it was at ours, just for the centralisation of it being London and this nice new shiny light. I would rather have the old lane back and have the old terraces back, the old look of North London back, instead of this shiny eyesore.
Well, unfortunately, it's all moved on, isn't it?
Yep.
I know times change and everything, but the lane had something special. And when everyone keeps on calling this stadium the lane, it's not to me.
No, it's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you got to ask why we've had 6 years with no naming rights.
That's a joke in itself. We brought a guy in to come and get naming rights, and he's already left. So it's like, again, another calamitous disaster from Levy, you know? Hiring in people like Ange. Like, has anyone seen this guy? Anyone seen Munn? It's like playing Where's Wally, isn't it? You're looking in the book for ages to find where these guys are hiding.
Does Munn actually exist, or is he like a figment of Levy's imagination, just put out there?
It's a Levy body double. That's my conspiracy on that one.
I think he's AI. I think he's AI created. He's not real. He's just been generated by AI and just is rolled out whenever we need him.
We never hear from him, do we? Never hear from him. He's like someone that runs the football side.
Well, do you remember when Tottenham on tour, we've had this discussion before. I was doing a pre-record with you back when I was in London, and we had content to do, and then Spurs announced that he was coming in, and it was like, who was Scott Munn? Well, we look at it now. That's what Easter will be about 2 years he's been here now, and I don't know a single thing he's actually done. Or if someone said he has done this, I'd be like, has he? Because I ain't got a clue what he's done.
What on earth was he brought in for? I've got no idea.
Wasn't it controlling interests of the football club on the pitch or something like that, so Levy could step back?
Go and bring an expert in, someone who knows the industry inside out. If you're going to put someone in at that level and pay them what you're paying them, bring someone in who knows the business inside out. This is the football business.
Wasn't he also brought in because of what he did at Man City as well? Kind of long.
Yeah, he came from the City Group, so assumption was that he knew what he was doing, and also the assumption was, as somebody just said, that Levy is going to step back from footballing operations, will focus on finances, and Mann will run footballing operations. But it seems like
wasn't one of the first things he did is bring Ange in?
No, that was Mann. Yeah. Mann brought Ange in. Yeah. That was a good decision, wasn't it?
Look how far that's got us in 18 months.
Oh my God! How much is costing you money?
Guys, does anyone else anything really important they want to say about the protest before we move on to some other things?
Before you move on to the other things, I will let you go, and there's a reason I've said that, because I need to keep my voice in tune. I'll let you know. I saw my brother Toxic said about all channels coming together. I love Toxic Headshot. Big up to him. Well, at 5:15 Toronto time, which is 10:15 back home, I will be making my debut on Last Word on Spurs. So Ricky Sachs has reached out to me. We've had a conversation, and he wanted me to come on. We're going to be talking about how important Sunday is, as well as other things. And I'm also, as a few of you have done today, and 2 of you will do tomorrow, I'm pre-recording a little mini-series of Levy Out questions that are going to be released on Tottenham on Tour on Friday and Thursday and Friday. So, and I've been on We Are Tottenham TV. I've done a lot of talking today, and I need to... Joe, I haven't had breakfast. I haven't had lunch. I've just literally been streaming. So I'm going to have a little break, but I just wanted to come on. You said the magic words and I appeared. So I'm going to let you guys carry on with the rest of the show. But Dan List and Nige, thank you for having me on the channel. It's always a pleasure.
Cheers, Brian, man. Thanks a lot.
On tour very, very soon. Everyone in the chat, the remainder of you 3, have a great evening. Everyone in the chat, have a wonderful evening, whatever you're doing. And as always, Levy out.
Night, brother.
Good night.
Good night, Brian. Good night.
I've got so much respect for that man. Him and Coover have been a massive strong point for me for the last year and a half. They talk to me every day to make sure I'm keeping it real. So I've got a lot of time for Brian and a lot of time for Coover.
Yeah.
I look, it's so important, this protest, and it's so good that it's really, really coming together now. It's overdue, well overdue. I know guys have tried over the years, and fair play to them. It's just there wasn't enough who turned up. But this time, just everybody has to do all they can. What everybody said tonight on the panel, everybody in the chat, this is the way forward now. We need to force change, and that's the only way.
The main part of this protest, keep it civil, keep it clean. For anyone that's doing I'm going to say this as a former security guard, anyone doing the sit-in in the stadium, you've got between 35 and 45 minutes before they're legally allowed to move you. But even still, they're not allowed to physically remove you from the stadium. They have to obviously ask you to leave, but they're not allowed to put hands on you. But if it gets to that point, close to the time, make sure, because they'll have body cams on as well, that you're recording everything that goes on in the stadium, so it's not just one-sided from their situation. So make sure that also in the stadium it's peaceful, it's calm, and that they can't use nothing against you. So being a former security guard, make sure you've got your cameras on while you're doing it, because they'll have cameras everywhere in that stadium, not just on the bodies of the security guards and the stewards. So just make sure you're keeping it peaceful and clean so that nothing can be used against us as we move forward through the rest of trying to protest peacefully.
Great advice, Corey, man. Really, really helpful for people watching. Yeah, it's got to be peaceful, of course. Everyone's gathering in, what's it, the South Stand? Is that right?
I believe so, from what I've heard on videos from the last few days of, is it Change for Spurs?
Yeah.
Talking about it, yeah, because I think the South Stand in the new stadium is the most accessible to get to. So that's what I've heard. But, you know, I'm one of these that isn't going to go into the stadium because I've had my strong belief since Martin Yoles got sacked. I have not been to a home or away match since.
Wow, that's long.
And that's coming from a lad that in the early 90s, every weekend I was travelling with my granddad and my uncle home and away, up and down this country at the age of 5 and 6 with my cousin, watching Tottenham everywhere. I've been to some dumps of stadiums and I've been to some pretty blinding stadiums, all in memories, but nothing beats the memories of the lane, you know. But this protest has to be kept clean, peaceful, make sure that nothing can be used against you, because these guys will be good. They'll try and plant people in the protest to try and cause aggro. If so, try to ignore it and bring it onto one of the leading guys making this, like starting this protest up. So if you suspect that someone's being a bit antisocial or a bit too pushy and a bit too shouty, bring it to one of the guys that is actually starting this protest, and maybe they can have a gentle word with them. We don't need to be at loggerheads as we're protesting as well. We don't need to be arguing with each other. We're on the same wave page here. It's time for this change to happen.
Yeah.
It was 2008, our last cup win. Was it 2007? I can't quite remember. I was a young lad. I was there with my granddad, my uncle, my cousin when Wooders put that goal in past the Chelsea. I went home with the biggest smile on my face. You know, it was the Cabarro Cup back then, but that cup is literally just insert title name here for sponsor each year. So next year it could be called the KFC Cup for all I care. But that's the last piece of silverware I've seen us lift. I've seen in my lifetime 2 League Cups and an FA Cup. And it's not enough. I'm hungry for this team to succeed and do well and be supported the right way instead of us all at loggerheads. It's time to come together, people. This call to arms. It's enough of Levy drumming us against each other. We should be united in this. It's from the overseas fans to the travelling one-day fans to a fan that's only been a fan a couple of months to a guy that's been it 40 years now. I was a year before I was born, you know. I had no choice. It's a family thing. But you've got people like Ian that have been a supporter of 60+ years. He's seen us at our glory, at our greatest, and at our weakest when we've been relegated or close to being relegated in the early 2000s. We nearly didn't have a club in the 90s to support, you know.
Corey, I was 77, mate. It was. I remember the second to last game. We lost 5-0 at Main Road, and that was I was at Derby. We lost 8-2 that season, and that was with Pat Jennings in goal.
That's also with Hoddle in midfield as well.
Yeah, Perryman. So Birkinshaw as manager.
You're looking at those 3. We shouldn't have got relegated alone, you know, with Pat and goal. And
you know, unfortunately, 3 players don't make a team. We had a lot of dross as well.
Yeah, well, but then again, you could say that for the last 60 years at Spurs. We've had a few good players and a load of dross.
Yeah.
Guys, everything is set up. Sorry,
Sorry,
Corey. Yeah, everything is set up for this club to be successful. You know, the stadium, the facilities, everything is there. The fans, the passionate fans. We're a massive club with a great history. Yes, I know we haven't won many leagues, but before Levy came in, we were regularly winning cups, weren't we?
I've got a serious question actually. Would you guys be interested in the German model, the 50+1 rule over here in this country? Because in Germany, they can't have multi-million-pound takeovers because it's always fan-orientated first. Then the buyers come in and start putting all their money in. Would you be interested in a model like that in this country, or do we keep sticking to the Saudis and whatever country comes in to buy a club and everything like that? Because I think and feel the Germans have it right for their clubs. The 50+1 rule really does work. They have a say.
Does it equal up the playing field though? Because Bayern Munich are very dominant, aren't they, in that country?
True.
That's my only concern. But it sounds great. It sounds great, but in practice, would it work? I don't know. There's just too many people involved, aren't there, now with these clubs, different owners, as you said, Saudi and all of that. It's crazy. It's a different ball game these days now, isn't it? Especially with Man City investment, Chelsea investment over the years. Other clubs, it just hasn't worked out. They spent a lot of money but made wrong decisions. It's just a craziness now, isn't it? This Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a huge admirer of the German model for years. I'm a huge Borussia Dortmund fan outside of
Interesting,
Tottenham.
man. Very interesting.
But there's a reason why I'm a Borussia Dortmund fan more because of certain few factors in my life. I've actually been to see Borussia play. I'm an avid FM player like you guys are, and a few years ago, he's a family friend now, but I was playing FM 2018, and we had a foreign exchange student come over and stay with us. He stayed with me and my family for about 4 months. His brother at the time was in the Borussia Dortmund youth team, and he's now playing professionally in the German league. And I talk to Jona every day and his brother Luca. Not so much because his English isn't too great, old Lucas, but every now and again I get, yeah, I'm okay, man, recovering from injury kind of message back. But yeah, there's a reason why I'm a huge Borussia fan. But I mean, I've just got an admiration for the German football and how it's run over there with a 50+1. I just think it gives the fans more of a say instead of fans just getting pushed to the background, why these owners control every aspect of the club.
Guys, I haven't got all night. I've got to be honest tonight. We've got a little bit to get through still, not too much. I just wanted to give Eugene, Ian, Nige, Corey, again, if you have any final thoughts on the protest and everything, and then I want to move on. Anybody else? Eugene, Nige, any final thoughts on the protests, Ian?
No, I said my piece. That's first off. Nothing to add.
Okay. Well, guys, I've got to get this off my chest now. It's I have to bring it up. I have to talk about it. What happened last night when I went on to Chris Cowling's show. It wasn't the best experience. So I need to say from my point of view, because the videos, my part of the video has been taken down, which, he should have left it on there so everybody can make their own mind up on how that conversation went between me, Chris and Gary. So I went on there to give my opinion on the club. Yeah, how I feel. This season, and I said it has been a disgrace. The last 24 years has been a disgrace, hasn't it? To be honest, 1 cup in 24 years. As I said so many times, we haven't broken the wage structure. We don't sign top players. We haven't ever really fully backed managers. I said we were sold a lie when they built the stadium. I thought the whole point that they said to build this stadium was to compete with the top teams in the Premier League and in Europe. But it just hasn't happened, isn't it? It really hasn't. So I went on to say that I said that the problem is the majority of Spurs fans have accepted failure and have not done enough to challenge the board over the years. As I said, there's been protests previously, and unfortunately not enough people turned up. And then I asked Chris and Gary, what have they done to try and affect this change? And obviously Chris has got a big platform. A lot of people watch him, follow him. Could he be pushing? I was trying to indicate, could he be pushing more to the fan base to make change? But Gary said he wasn't interested in the protests, which is fine. Not everybody was interested in that. All he wanted to do was win. Of course, all fans like us want to win. I told him my protest has been I've stopped spending money in the club since Poch left. That's the last time I went to the game in that last season of Poch, and I refuse to put any money into this club until I see real change, or obviously the owners move on. Basically, Chris said that what he's doing is that obviously he's putting on the fan show so people can come on and give their opinions. Fair enough. But then I said to him, what have you actually done? Unfortunately, Chris told me I'm not a fan anymore because I'm not putting any money into the club. and I thought that was unfair because I'm a massive Spurs fan. I watch all the games. I'm on YouTube. I'm chatting about it all the time. Friends, family. I just thought that was very unfair. So that was crazy. Then I reiterated. I just said I want this board to change. Yeah, I want them to change. Put football first or sell. And then I was telling them what fans can do on his show. I said fans can protest, sing Levy out in every game, even boycott games. Don't spend money in the club shop. Don't spend money in the ground. And but then Gary said that singing Levy out won't make a difference. Now, it does make a difference because we've seen over the years when the fan base have sang Levy out. He doesn't like it. It makes him uncomfortable. It does. We all can remember that time when Levy's wife touched his leg. Do you guys remember
Damages his
that?
ego.
Yeah. So I don't believe that's right. I think if enough fans are singing Levy out, it can make a difference moving forward. But again, Gary couldn't remember that, but Chris did. I said to the guys, I think fans, they do need to make it as most uncomfortable as possible to highlight the failures over the last 24 years. And this poor season we've had, it's just not good enough. I said to them, it's just not good enough. It's a disgrace. I don't know. Chris was quite quiet in that interview. He didn't say too much. And Gary said quite a lot. He's quite in a laughing, jokey mood. I don't know. And then I said, I think Chris asked me near the end, he says, have I got anything positive to say? And I said, but Chris, you didn't answer my question. Then Gary started saying that, what if he said he was an experience where he went to the game with his kids and he was running late, didn't have time to buy food or eat before, and he had to buy food in the stadium. And I said, well, that's fair enough, man. You've got to feed your kids. But next time you could maybe bring a packed lunch or eat outside the stadium. There's plenty of businesses who serve food. But look, it was, it's hard to kind of explain. I'm trying to explain it the best I can from my memory from last night. And then I said to them, guys, I don't want to come on here and have a go at you. But then they just cut me off. They just kicked me out.
I love how he always wants another person's opinion, but when you give him the opinion, he doesn't want to listen to it because he's too interested in, I'm going to say this outright, protecting his best interests of keeping his sponsorships on his channel. He doesn't want to speak the truth. Inside it's hurting him, but he's not going to speak it because it'll affect his long-term channel prospects of him being invited to the stadium to do these fancy things on the free. And, I used to watch a lot of Chris back in the days, but over the years, I've slowly gone off of the channels that are too hyper positive because they're really just living in some sort of form of denial in that sense. I mean, there are plenty of lovely channels out there that are nice feel-good channels, and I do watch a couple of them, but there are so many channels out there now that I just will not watch. And I'd rather speak to fans now that have the same opinion of where this club is and how it's run and where it's going, instead of, oh, look, we got a win against Brentford, oh, you're in the mud. That was one win. And how long? 2 months. And then you've got people like Chris coming on, basically completely ignoring what you're talking to him about. If you've got a different opinion to him, he just wanted to deflect and get you off as quick as possible, and then to completely remove what you had to say just goes to show that he's trying to protect his pocket in that sense. I'm probably being harsh here, but he's probably got sponsorships and stuff with the club.
Look, guys, he could have continued the conversation. There was so much more I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about Ange. They didn't have to kick me off. And then to delete it. Sorry, Ian, let me finish. Yeah, let me just finish, and then you guys can just come in. And for him to then delete the video that evening, and then take my part out, and then re-upload it in the morning, I just think it's crazy. It's shocking. Everybody obviously there's people who watched it and saw it, but it would have been great for if it was left on, and then people could have made their own judgment of that conversation I had with him, and it's just completely removed it like it's never happened. And I am in shock, to be honest. Like, you should be able to go on, and I wasn't rude. Yes, I was quite direct, and I did push and ask the question a couple of times, but I just wanted to hear from him what he had to say. But it was just maybe too uncomfortable for him. I don't know. Sorry, Ian, go on.
Can I just make a few comments on that?
Of course.
Dan, I didn't hear it, but I read bits. I got bits and pieces on the WhatsApp group today. Firstly, I listened to Chris Cowling the other week, a couple of days after Sava asked for Sava put out a video asking for all the main YouTubers to pull together, maybe come together and have a Zoom meeting and have a discussion, which I was happy to host. I'm not I don't have my own podcast channel, so I've got no skin in the game. It's nothing, for me, it's all about the club and my love for the club. I'm not compromised by losing money like Chris Cowling. It appears, I don't know. I've just say I've met the guy twice. He is a fan. The two places I met him were outside the front ticket office, the front of the ground at PSV Eindhoven in Holland. If he wasn't a fan, why is he there? And the second place was at the under-21 Cup final against Fulham last May at Craven Cottage. So, if he's so the fact he says he's not a fan, you've got to be a pretty good fan. He went over to Australia, to Korea, he travels all over the world. So, you've got to take that with a pinch of salt. For somebody I've met him twice. I've got no beef with him. He said, there are a couple of people that would say things about me. Well, I've never had a conversation with you, Chris. So I hope you're watching this. For such a big podcaster, your behaviour yesterday with Dan is really disappointing. You really should be ashamed of yourself with how you behaved on that. You've got a lot of people listening, and you've got to treat people with respect. This is what podcasts are all about. We're all Spurs fans together, and even if we're not Spurs fans, you still treat that person with respect. And to just boot Dan out, I think is just really poor for you. I think you owe him a big apology. If you are such a fan, let's see you turn up on Sunday. Now's the time to show what you're about. It's all very well having Brian on the show, and it's question answer, and Brian's giving all the answers. But tell me, Chris Cowling, what do you think about the shit show at Tottenham? How it's gone downhill massively since we've moved into the new ground? How we've won one trophy in 24 years? Let's hear from you, Chris Cowling. Let's have some honesty. Let's hear what you think. And I hope this podcast, this clip, is sent to him, because this is personal. You don't chuck other Spurs fans off a channel for asking honest questions. Dan wasn't rude to you. He wasn't disrespectful to you. Answer the questions. Man up. And that's all I've got to say about it.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much.
Out on Ian's, from what I saw, I was in and out last night because I was trying to sort my house out. You were polite. You brought your questions to him in a respectful, honest tone.
Did you see it, Corey? Did you watch it?
I watched about 5-10 minutes of it because I was obviously on the phone because there's family stuff going on at the moment, so I'm not going to go into that. But I watched what I did because I was on the phone to my mum. But from what you asked him, for him to deflect and not answer the question just goes to show he hasn't got the answers to the questions that you want to ask him. It's all happy taking the questions from the so-called ones that he always wants to take the questions from, like the Ange inners, Levy inners, the happy clappers. He's happy with taking the positivity of we got a win in first time in 10 games. But let's look at this subjectively, shall we? We have barely won in 2 months. We're out of 2 cup competitions under a manager that hasn't got the tactical awareness, let alone the tactical knowledge of a baked potato. You've asked him honest questions that he couldn't think to himself, oh crap, I can't answer here, so I'm just going to deflect, and then at the end of it cut you off. That's the height of rudeness. I mean, you've gone on there polite, respectful, you've not risen your voice, you're eloquent in what you're answering or asking him, and he just didn't have the answers for you, so he was just deflecting to get you off. And then to cut you off and cut you up from re-editing the show just goes to show that he doesn't want that, even though he keeps promoting that, oh, I want to talk to people, fans of both sides of the argument here, because it doesn't seem that way to me. He seems someone to be very one-sided. There's a lot of very one-sided Tottenham shows out there that will say, yeah, we want to listen to your opinion, but then try and blast you down or make you feel fickle or, you know, stupid about your club when you can see the truth. Yeah, I saw the part that he was on for a little bit, but like I said, I was on the phone to my mum, so I was kind of like looking up at the screen, looking down, and from what you was asking him, for him to deflect, just goes to show he really didn't want you on the show, my friend.
And if he's got anything about him, he'll get in touch with me and bring me on the show. And if you want to get hold of me, Chris, Josh Hughes has got my number, Brian Daigle's got my number, Johnny Hammy's got my number. You can get hold of me very easily. There you go.
Eugene, you haven't heard from you for a while, buddy. What's your thoughts and anything on what happened? Or
I didn't watch, so I don't want to speculate, obviously, based on what you're saying. And obviously, I believe you and, others. Yeah, it's definitely not optimal. Again, for me, my view on this has been the same. I don't care what opinion you have. You're entitled to your own opinion as long as you're not disrespectful or rude. And that goes to both, to Chris's channel based on what he's done to you, but then it also goes to some Levy Out channels as well, right? Again, your opinion is your opinion, fair enough, but don't be rude and disrespectful to fellow fans. And, there are things he could have said, things he could have done that he didn't. And again, I wasn't there, so I don't want to comment too much. But yeah, it's just unfortunate that all of us are fans who want the same thing. And given the way we treat each other, I feel like that stands in the way of progress. That stands on the way of being unified and getting what we want. So yeah, that's unfortunate. And again, I'm not a Chris Cowan, watcher. I only watched him a couple of times when Brian was on. So I don't want to speculate about his connection to the club. And I also feel like, given size of his channel, I'm sure he's getting a lot of abuse from Levy Out fans and Ange Out fans. So maybe he's extremely sensitive to any sorts of questions. He's a person, like I have no idea how I'd react in his position. That's why I usually reserve judgment. But again, just don't be rude to fellow fans. Don't be disrespectful. And that goes for all channels, not just for him.
Thank you, Eugene. Nige, is anything that you want to mention about it, or we're going to move on? We'll get back to the football because there's only so much
we'll
we
move on.
can talk about it.
I just want to say, if you're going to open your platform up for fans to speak their truth and ask questions, don't then be upset and surprised when a fan literally just asks a question. Like I say, I didn't see it. I just heard about it later on this afternoon when I kind of got up from my slumber. But for me, absolutely bang out of order. There's no need for it. If you're asking him a direct question and he doesn't want to answer it, then just say, I don't really want to answer that, or just be honest. Why? I don't understand why he has to kick you off. It makes no sense. He's done himself no favours. Yeah.
Nige, maybe he's great at comparing and asking questions, but just hasn't got the ability to debate with people. I think that's possibly, if someone it's easy to agree with people. If someone has a different view, challenge them on it. Ask them why they're saying things. This is what debate's about. This is why people like watching podcasts. They like the toing and froing. you know, but answer it and engage. Don't just cut somebody off. You know, are you actually incapable, Chris, of debating with somebody? I'm sure you can debate, but you certainly give the wrong impression if you can. So come on, get me on your show and let's have a debate.
Well, if you're happy with Levy, then say you're happy.
Let's see if you got the guts to get me on.
Calling someone not a fan as well of a club when they've probably been a fan equal to the same amount of time as what this guy has, it's shocking. It's like I watched a video there on another channel, I got linked to it. I'm not going to say their name, but he's sitting there touting out a load of crap, and then basically going and saying, "Why don't you support that lot down the road?" You know, I've been a Spurs fan 40 years. So before I left the womb, you know, I was a Spurs fan. Didn't even know what Tottenham was before I could walk and talk. But that's what I am. And people going, "Oh, you should support this team then if you don't support the club." I'm like, what gives you the right to say that?
Yeah. But again, right, Corey, that
people like
that goes for all the channels, right? I was, you know, somebody told me from a Levy Out channel that new fans like me are the issue at the club, and you know we should all
not
be,
at all.
you know,
Not
so
at all.
like again, as long as everybody is respectful, we're all fans. So
Absolutely.
what you do is wrong.
Absolutely.
But again, it goes across the board for Levy in, Levy out, Levy neutral. Let's just be respectful to each other.
Here's a question for you, though. You live in America. I've been an NFL. I've been a Steelers fan 23 years now, and I've played American football 14 years after my football injury. Does that make me a fake fan? I understand all the rules of American football.
Yeah.
I've played American football. Does that make me a fake fan?
There's no. I don't believe there's such a thing as a
There's no such thing.
fake fan.
If you support a team and support a club, that is who you are. You're a supporter of that club, regardless
and again,
if you've been a fan 40 years or 4 weeks.
Right. And to what Ian said, maybe, you know, some people just don't like debating. They just want to be fans, which is fair. But again, you know, don't cut people off. If you don't want to debate, that's fine. But just be upfront about it. Say so. And, you know, and then you at least are you going to get respect from people if you're
Eugene, he could have just said, he could have just gave his reasons, Eugene, he could have just said, this is why I can't do it because of this reason or that reason.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have turned around and said, yeah, maybe I need to do more. Maybe I need to get more involved. You know, just have the conversation. Look, I'm not happy with Spurs. I'm furious at the moment. I dread watching us right now. Yeah, let's be honest, it's a shit season. Yeah, 13 defeats in the league out of 2 cup competitions.
Early 2000, you know, we nearly got relegated early 2000 as well.
Yeah,
if anybody remembers that before Harry coming and saved us. I mean, I think I was on one of Saba's shows, not like on it, but seeing people going, "Who's Harry Redknapp?" Harry Redknapp?
But then some people are newer fans, though, aren't they? So we can't be too harsh on some of them.
No,
you know?
listen,
I get what you mean.
So if they're young kids, Corey, you just educate them. You just explain to them who Harry Redknapp is. It's, you know, they'll probably thank you for telling them.
So, guys, I'm very disappointed on what happened yesterday, and thank you, everybody on the panel and everyone in the chat for your comments and support. I mean, and everybody, you know, who's messaged me, and you know who you are, for supporting me after what happened yesterday. I'm probably still in a shock at actually what happened. Hopefully, it'll be great if he just re-uploads it, and then everybody can make up their own mind on what happened. But look, let's move on for it. Thanks, guys, for discussing it with me. I had to say what it is. So I had to tell everyone because people are asking a lot of questions about it. So hopefully that's answered everything to everyone. So look, let's get back to the football. We got Manchester United on Sunday. Guys, let's go for it. What do people think about this game? Are you confident? You're not confident? You know, there may be some players returning. Man United are not in great form themselves. So look, who wants to take it first? Nige, do you want to go first on this one?
I'm actually weirdly quite confident just because we seem to do quite well against United this season. And we have got players coming back. Yeah, I'm confident. I think we might win this one. And Ange has a habit of when he's on the brink of what seems like getting a sack, he pulls out a win from somewhere. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we win the game. Also, of course, wouldn't surprise me if we lose. But I'm confident. We haven't won at home for like ever, but for some reason, I feel like, you know, we have a bit of a hoodoo over United this season.
When's the last home win? Was it November?
Aston Villa, wasn't it?
And Villa,
Aston Villa, yeah.
Villa.
Yeah, in the league, yeah.
That's what started all the downfall of like the 15 losses or whatever it was in a row.
Yeah, but it's like Ian said earlier, with the players, when we've got a full team, we are capable of pulling out 15, 20-minute spells when we can score 2 or 3 and win a game. And I feel that if Maddison's back, if Udogie's back, if Vicario's back, if we've got a few players back, I think we're capable of doing that. So it wouldn't surprise me if we won.
Ian, what's your thoughts on the game?
I echo Nigel. I think I'm confident. United's form since the beginning of the year has been pretty good.
Well, I'll go through it in a minute, Ian, so we can have some context on it.
But you just feel that we've maybe got their number this season. I'm confident we'll get a narrow win.
Corey, what's your thoughts on it, buddy?
I'm going to keep my mouth shut on this one because before the Brentford game, I got 2 league games right in a row where we lost and received a death threat. So I'm keeping my mouth shut. I reported it to the police and left it at that. I didn't respond back to the person, but there's every part of me being a former security guard, be like, right, you meet me outside and I'll wait for you here. But I'm a little bit too old in the tooth for that crap now. But I want to be positive, but I'm sitting on the fence here with this one. It could go either way. The last time, before the Brentford game, I gave 2 correct predictions of losing 2-1 and 2-0. What happened? And then I received death threat. So I'll shut my mouth.
So guys, just remind me, when did Almiron join Man United?
December, wasn't it?
No, it was earlier than that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's either early December or late October, because it wasn't in November, because I still remember Ten Hag being there.
Let me ask.
Yeah, find out, Eugene. Thank you, buddy.
Or whoever. No, November 1st.
No, I was wrong then.
Okay,
So I don't know if that's when his first game was or just the announcement, but it was sometime in November.
Okay, so he was manager when we beat them in the cup, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
so they went on. So after that, they lost. They got smashed at home against Bournemouth. Bournemouth having a fantastic season, and Bournemouth, I think, beat them there last year. Then they lost away to Wolves. They lost at home against Newcastle 2-0. Then they went to Liverpool and got a 2-2. They knocked Arsenal out of the FA Cup on penalties. They beat Southampton at home, 16th of January. Then they lost at home against Brighton, 3-1. Beat Rangers in the Europa League 2-1. Went to Fulham and won. They won another Europa League game. Then they lost at home against Palace. Knocked Leicester out of the FA Cup. And that's where we're at. So they're not great, are they? They're not. Almiron has not got, he's just come in. He's going to need time. He's going to need players. The fans, Man United fans, are not happy with the January transfer window. They obviously loaned out Rashford. They didn't bring in another forward. Same problems that they've had under Ten Hag. He's trying to put in a new system. It's going to take time. Eugene, what's your thoughts? You think this is a game we'll win?
We have no excuse not to win this game. Man U is as toothless up front as we are. Even worse, they have nobody, to score goals. So there's no excuse why we shouldn't win. I figured it's going to be low scoring because neither team can score. Could be maybe 2-1 or 1-0. Their defending is better than ours a bit. But, if I was Ange, I would just say, screw it. And, the senior players who haven't been showing up, I would bench them. I just play all kids and at least have an excuse just saying, hey, look, I'm playing players.
He's not going to do that, Eugene, now, is he? He's not.
No, he's not. That's what I would do. But
he's definitely not.
But I just, I don't want to see, Bissouma and Bentancur in the midfield. I just want to see players who are showing fight. But regardless, we should have enough to beat them. There's no excuse.
Right, Eugene.
What's that?
Maddison. Madison.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eugene, when you came on, I think it was last week, you dropped the Madison bomb and then you left.
Yeah, no, as you know, I'm not a Madison fan. I mean, we can, if we're up 3-0, Madison can come in and waste some time. He can flop
You
on,
got to
on
look
the
at this
pitch,
objectively, though, Eugene.
hold his
Madison
ankle,
not
just
playing
waste
to
time.
his.
Otherwise,
Yeah, no, but he's not exactly playing to his strengths when you're having two inverted fullbacks run into the
Yeah.
position or the pocket of space that he likes to work in to make the assists and score these goals. If you've got three other players running into your space that you need that space for, you're not going to be effective enough in that position.
yeah. But Corey, at Leicester, he had the same issues. He played the third of the season, then he was hurt, and then he was down in tools. I'm not
True.
saying the tactics fit him, but if you're a top player like Madison thinks he is in his own mind, you, regardless of what's happening, regardless of tactics, and especially when you're an assistant captain, you should put in performances. You should have more of an impact on the games. He had a few good games where I think he had a couple of braces, but against the teams that we needed him to step up, like the Tamworth game, there's no excuse against plumbers and farmers not to be the best,
The best player on the
pitch.
day was the shop manager.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking if you're a top player, regardless of tactics, you should step up. So I just think he has a weak.
But his output's good, Eugene, buddy. His output's pretty good, and he hasn't even played every game. If you look at his goals and assists,
wrong. If he comes back,
second scorer in the team.
But Eugene, how can you justify that? Just what's your thoughts around his output, and then because he's pretty good in a poor team.
So it's funny because I remember the whole last season, people were getting in on Johnson saying, all his stats, the 10 goals, those are empty stats. He doesn't score against top 10 teams, this and that. So if we're doing that for Johnson, which I agree with, actually, we should do the same thing for Madison and look at his stats in context. He scored a brace against City. He scored another brace. So most of his scoring came in 5 or 6 games. Most of the other games, he's been a non-factor. So I expect my vice captain to be a factor, especially against low blocks where we struggle. Again, maybe my expectations of him were too high. When he came in, I was really excited. I thought he's going to be that difference maker for us that we didn't have since Eriksson, right, as a 10. I just been really disappointed, not even with his output, with the mentality and just the way he plays, his flopping, holding his hand, just, the Bruno stuff that I hate. I just want to have players who don't flop, who show mentality, who fight for the badge. And I think we have too many players who are passengers, who are not leading the team, the squad. And he's one of them, unfortunately. So I
think Madison.
Wow.
What's that?
I think Madison will be the game changer once Ange goes.
He's never been on the well, again, I hope I'm wrong because I really like Madison, but when he played, again, I could be wrong, but Leicester fans have been saying the same thing. He's never been the guy for the whole season. His talent is there, no questions asked, but the difference between a good player and a top player is consistency, and he's just not consistent. So
you can't be consistent when 3 players at a time are running into the position or pocket space you're running. Take it from a guy that nearly made it professionally as football. I was a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers got nothing to say, but players like that small pocket space, that 5 to 10 yards to work in to play the pass to make the run. If you've got Basuma, Udogie, Porro all running into your midfield area, there's 4 people in that small space. He likes to work behind the striker, Madison. He doesn't want to be sitting in a back line of a 3 of a midfield and then running up. He needs to be that pivotal person to play a 4-2-3-1 with. You need the destroyer in the midfield to protect your back 4, as well as the guy that can pass the ball out to Madison for him to unlock the defence. You don't need inverting wing backs to run into your fucking wingers every game. Yeah. Sorry, my language, Matty's here. But you don't need inverted wing backs to run into your wingers and your wingers do a double underlap with each other while Madison's like, hey, dude, you're in my space. I need this space to work with. I need to be able to pass the ball. I need the space to shoot. If you've got 4, maybe 5 players, including the enemy lot running into into that small pocket space you're running into, it's too congested and too crowded.
But Corey,
Madison's
when Kulusevski is at the 10, even though he might not put up numbers, assists, and goals, at least he's making a difference. He's holding the ball up. He's doing something. Madison sometimes forget.
I will say this for Kulu. He has a more physical build than Madison, but Madison's a slender player. You need that pocket space for Madison to be able to unlock, whereas Kulu can ride a challenge, whereas Madison can't really. He needs that 5 to 10 yards to look up the pass the ball, whereas Kulu can run and take a tackle. There's the difference in the 10 position, or the 10 role, if you want to call it, behind the striker. That's how I've always looked as an attacking midfielder. You need that pocket of space, or that guy that can hold the ball up to pass it.
But Corey, Madison slides those balls in, those reverse passes in, doesn't he? Whereas Kulu doesn't.
Yeah, Kulu will have a shot, he'll bang it. Whereas Madison, he's got that curve on the pass. He's got that movement and lateral pass to be able to swerve it and put it into the player the way it needs. Yeah. Kulu is a technical player, but when it's the pass, the technicality of the pass, Madison has the edge. Whereas I always felt Kulu has the more physical edge. So you can't have 4 players all running into that one spot. That Madison needs that one other player just slightly in front of him to try and divert one defender to run away, so that Madison can play that curved pass or that diagonal pass through your defence.
No, you might be right.
You shouldn't be having inverted fullbacks inverting into midfield playing as 10s.
You're crowding out the area, and then you haven't got. Once those 2 invert, you've got you've got that open space on both of your wings. Right, we've seen this time and time again with Tottenham. So all you need to do is pick that ball up just outside the D, or just potentially before you're attacking that box, ping a ball over to left side, right side, ball through the middle, goal. It's happened so much this season that I'm just sick to death of seeing it.
And if you look on Sunday where Villa picked up the ball in the first minute.
Oh yeah.
And where Porro was when the guy hit the ball through Kinski.
He was
still struggling to get back. It's mad. So it doesn't make sense.
You might as well just told Porro stay on the goal line. You'd still fuck up north, you know?
Yeah. No, again, I could be, that's just my opinion. Again, maybe even less about what he does. It's more about...
Yeah, it's a valid opinion, but from someone that understands Madison, mate, in that sense, but there's 2 different types of number 10. There's the physical number 10 in Kulu, and there's the technical, more slender, slightly quicker Madison that has a like that in his head to pass the ball.
The player we need is the Madison, but then when the Madison's in the squad, I feel like he doesn't help. But I was just playing darts and I was listening to Eugene. And I wanted to come on because I don't really understand what your point is. Like, what's like? Because I agree with Corey. Everything Corey just said, I completely agree with. We have so many players running into that cam position: Porro, Udogie, or Spence. Or like, even if we play Davies at left back, he's inverting. Everyone's always inverting. I mean, I don't really understand the point about Madison. So I feel like when we don't have Madison in the squad, we need that technical player that needs to play that pass through, get that important goal. And you look at the stats this season, he's got that important goal, he's got that important assist. He's getting those things, but he's not impacting the game enough. But he's the perfect player for us. I'm not saying him, but his type of play style is the perfect for us. And that's who we need. I don't think he works out at Tottenham. I feel like Donnelly, in a year maybe, Donnelly is literally the perfect player we need. I'd rather him than Madison. Like you just look at Donnelly at Orient, like that goal he scored against Man City. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again. He scored like 2 or 3 of those exact goals from like near the halfway line this season. Some of his assists, some of his passes, Donnelly at Orient, he's got mad potential. And we look at the players compared to Madison. What's Madison showing? Why isn't Donnelly playing ahead of him? And you look at players like Mikey Moore. Look at Mikey Moore compared to Son. A 17-year-old is competing against a 32-year-old. It's just bizarre. Our youth players are dominating our team. Every single position. Bergvall, Gray, Moore, Lancashire, Donnelly, Devine. I mean, Devine, he scored his first goal for our club 4 or 5 years ago now, and he's still one of our biggest youth prospects. Dane Scarlett, Ajayi. I mean, you just see them on and on and on. I just wanted to come on to say that.
Like,
Matty, sorry.
You're gonna make Brian smile there, Matty, by saying about Divine. So Brian will have a smile on his face right now.
Wouldn't it be great if we had a good, decent coach with all these potentially great, young players, man?
Yeah.
Don't say Poch, then. Don't say Poch.
We're not going there tonight, Eugene. But honestly, guys, sorry, Eugene. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Eugene doesn't rate Maddison. That's how he feels. Like,
but it's a personal thing.
We can argue with him as much as we want because
it's the Basuma argument as well. Being a guy from Brighton that's watched Basuma, he played alongside Sado,
It's another.
So
we could debate every player.
Basuma's playing out of position as well. He's not a 6. Let's just get this out of the. He's good under press, but
Basuma hasn't been playing a 6. Basuma's never been playing as a 6. Ange plays like with 3-8s. Like no one's a 6, 8, or 10 in our midfield. They're all just jumbled up. It's terrible tactics. Basuma's never played as a 6 for us. I don't think we never see him in that position. Our midfield isn't like that. Under Ange, we haven't. I mean, Conte never played Basuma. I think Dan said it before. Someone said it before, maybe Ian. Basuma wasn't levels enough for Conte, and that's why Conte didn't play him. And then we've seen him under Ange playing. He played amazing in the first 10 games of last season. But then he's come back in and he's just sloppy passes, very rash, sloppy tackles, and it's just everything's wrong. He's not helping us. I mean, I think Sonny's a complete nuisance this season. I'm not sure if you guys have talked about it, but he's a legend at our club. He's a legend at our club, and I hate to talk about him like this, but he's a complete nuisance. He's not helping. He's not affecting our play in any way possible. And we need that player that Sonny used to be. I mean, we just need a clinical player, and we need a captain. We haven't got that in our squad. I mean, if we could sign any player, I want a captain player. I want someone that can affect our play, can bring the team together and say, play for the badge, boys. Come on. That's all I want to see.
Well, to only do that, we need to bring someone in from the youth team then that has that leadership quality. Someone that's come through, someone old enough in that youth team that has that leadership role that's played all the way through at those youth ranks. When I was in the Brighton youth team, my captain at the time was Adam Lab. So Adam was an intense kid to train with, match day with, play with. He was mental, and he went off to play for Brighton. Gareth Barry was a few years above us before Villa brought us. Before Villa brought him. So yeah, Brighton's ethos was bring a kid through the youth system, because Lewis Dunk has been at Brighton his whole career, like Adam Lab. You look at that one kid that's been in your youth setup all the way through, and right, you know what it is to play for Tottenham. We're going to rely on you to be the captain because you know the fans, you know the history, you know what it is to play for the badge. That's where I believe a leader should be, like the days back of Ledley King. He came through our youth ranks. The guy knew what it was to be Spurs.
Who in our youth ranks right now do you think has that ability, has that prospect to become that player?
Keep chucking him out alone. Dorrington. I feel bad for the kid. We've got an injury crisis going on in our defence.
He's not good enough.
You don't know that. Phillips brought in. You're going to tell me Phillips isn't good enough?
I don't know. I mean,
this is what I mean. Why aren't they playing?
Both 19 and 20 years old, both playing in the England under-21 setup, and both have won an international competition with England. Not good enough to play for Tottenham. That's just craziness.
If they're good enough, why are we sending them out alone and playing an 18-year-old centre-mid centre-back? Why are we playing Ben Davies, who's a 33-year-old at centre-back? Why are we bringing in new signings? If we have Dorrington and Phillips, why are we not playing them? There must be a problem, unless Ange is just completely clueless and just refuses to play them.
And we've got that young kid coming in from Ukraine, haven't we? That's absolutely
Viskovic. I mean, he's scoring overhead kicks. He looks like a crazy prospect. But we have so many youth players. I think this is we have the most youth players with the biggest prospects ever, and we have one of the worst managers we've ever had. We've put in one of the worst places we've ever been. I mean, you see like Sheriff in the chat. I don't know how old he is, but he's saying this is the worst manager he's ever seen in his life. And it's just sad. Sorry, Sheriff. But it's just sad. We have such a big prospect.
What a dig at Sheriff. What a dig at Mark.
Love you, Sheriff.
Look, guys, let's go back to the Man U game. Ian, did you say? I think Ian, you did. Has everybody said their bit on Man U game?
Yeah.
I've lost track now.
No win for me, I think.
we're
Hopefully.
gonna win 2-1.
Could
I
be
mean-
a lot ahead, but 2-1.
I don't know anymore, guys. I'm not convinced. I'm not
I'm
convinced
going to ask
anymore.
a funny one here. Right,
on.
Ange or Stellini? Who are you going to take as manager?
That's a horrible question, Corey, man.
Yeah, that's
That's a
not.
horrible question. Dirty question that was.
It could be Stellini. At least he has some tactical knowledge.
Defensively.
Let's not go
Guys,
there.
if we lose against Man U, do you think he'll be sacked?
No.
That's pretty low, isn't it?
I mean,
I'd
I
walk
don't
into
care.
the
to
office
be
and write a P45 myself and leave it on his desk. I'll do it for Levy if he won't do it. P45, Mr. Ange.
honest. I don't think he'll be sacked.
Guys, have you come to realization that he's just going to be here now for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
It's like
If-
that.
if
It's
he's
like
gonna
the
be sacked,
skid mark on your
he's
pants,
sacked
mate. As much as you try to wash him out, he's going to stay there, isn't he? It's
Probably,
like Levy. Levy's the ultimate skid mark. So
while we are in Europe, if he hasn't gone, I thought he'd be gone yesterday. If he hasn't gone,
Yeah.
he's not going to go. Then I think while we've got a chance of Europe, maybe he's sold it that, you know, my system will work. The players are coming back. We can win the Europa League. You can imagine he's probably sold it to Levy like that. And
Okay.
then-
I mean,
any team with a bit
I-
of quality does us. That's the problem. You still got the likes of Lazio in there. Was it Galatasaray or Fenerbahce? It's one of them two Turkish teams that beat
Let's
us.
say you just, you know, Corey, you don't know. Football's a funny game, isn't it?
True.
It's a funny game. Who would have thought Wigan would have beaten Man City? Greece would have won the Euros. You know, unfancied teams do come through. You never know.
Oh, I just can't see it. Even when,
Carlos'
we've had,
free kick that defines physics. Yeah, I still remember '98.
even when we've had a good team and we've got to a final, we've never turned up. What does anybody think that Ange's team is going to win that Europa League? I mean, it just does not make sense. Now, guys, I want Ange gone. For me, he's failed miserably. But the thing is, if we keep losing games, I don't know how he can stay in the job. Say we lose the next 3 in the Premier League, surely he has to go.
I feel that
3 games ago.
Who we got? So we got Man U. We got Man U coming up, right?
Ipswich away, Bournemouth at home.
And
No,
then-
sorry, Man City at home.
Yeah,
Beg your
Man
pardon.
City.
City at home.
So listen, that could be 3 losses, yeah. Well, not Man United,
Yeah,
probably a draw.
I feel like
I
after
think
the
we get
Leicester
6
game,
points next 2 games.
You think, Ian?
I think we'll win the next 2.
Who's that against? So you think we'll beat
Guys,
Man U and who? Do
Ipswich away.
you think we'll go to
Ipswich.
Ipswich and win?
I think we'll
no
win them.
way.
I think we'll win them.
Not sure.
I said after the Leicester game, I thought Ange would be sacked. Then I said when we're at the Carabao Cup, he's sacked. Then after Liverpool, he didn't get sacked. Then I said when we're at the FA Cup, he'll be sacked. He's still not sacked. I mean, he's not going to get sacked now to the end of the season. I think we're going to beat United at home easily. I think it'll be 3-0. And then I think we're going to lose to Ipswich away and lose to City at home. But anything can happen. I don't think we'll win the Europa League, but it'd be fine if we got relegated and then won the Europa League.
We're not good. I don't think we'll get relegated. I think we'll have enough now with these players returning that we will pick up some results. Won't be many wins. I can't. And when I've looked ahead at the fixtures, there's not many
I want to
wins
correct
there.
Destiny on this Titanic.
It doesn't
quote.
matter, does it? Like
Go on.
at this point, we win 1 or lose 1. I just want to see the youngsters play. I just want to see if they're good enough for the future, right?
Well, under
like,
Ange's
if I-
system,
I
under
would
Ange's
just-
poor system and tactics, Eugene, you want to see that?
But that
could
goes
ruin
back
them.
to Madison conversation. Like for me, if a player has it, you're gonna see it. Mikey Moore. It doesn't matter where he plays. You're gonna see this kid has talent. I just want to see our youngsters play and save all the senior players for Europa. But in the league, we're not getting relegated and we're not getting Europe. Whether we finish 13th or 10th, for me personally, it doesn't matter. I just want to see youngsters be given a chance. I'm tired of seeing Basuma and Bentancur and Son. All
Gray
of
in midfield.
Yeah, I want to see Bergval and Gray play, and Sar maybe, and then Spence has to start. I don't care on the right or left; he has to play, and maybe somebody Ajay. But I want to see the kids. I'm tired of seeing the same
Right.
old players just jogging along, making the same mistakes. If Ange was to play Basuma, Bentancur, save them for Europa, but in the league, a league is gone. It doesn't matter. So just play the kids.
I mean,
Corey,
you look at it,
sorry, mate, go on.
I was going to go on
You-
about like Destiny's Kulu's turning radius of the Titanic. The difference between Kulu and Titanic here is the guys on board the Titanic, one, didn't have binoculars, two, turned the wrong fucking way into the iceberg. Simple. Kulu has all the vision on the pitch. She has the time to turn. The crew of the Titanic, that was a massive collateral like thing that just led all the way up to that poor ship sinking, and other thousands of people lost their life that night. I've done extensive research into sinking ships, especially the Titanic. The guy with the binoculars was sacked on the day of the ship leaving, so he took the key with him, so they couldn't get the binoculars out of the crow's nest. Captain Smith didn't listen to the ice warnings properly, and also they had Ishmael on board telling him to light up the third burner and plough through the ice. So, say what you say about the turning radius of Kulu and the Titanic, at least the Titanic, they swerved the wrong way.
Oh, dear. Oh, right. Matty, sorry.
Sorry. Monologue of the Titanic.
My head's gone, man. That was gone. That's gone. The Titanic chat, man. Blimey.
Didn't
Oh,
Liverpool used to have a chant for us, like, you haven't won here since the Titanic left port all those years ago?
Ah, right. Matty, what are you going to say, buddy? You're going to say something.
I mean, just look at Demola Ajayi against Elfsberg. He came on after 5 minutes. He got a goal, and it was a very good goal as well. You look at Scarlett. Yes, he's been on loan. He's had a few failed loans, but he comes on after 10, 15 minutes. He scores a good header. Plus, he gets an assist for Ajayi's goal. And you look at Mikey Moore. He's the one fighting Son, who's a 32-year-old. Mikey Moore, a 17-year-old. That shows, one, how good Mikey Moore is. Two, how bad our squad depth is. That we need a 17-year-old fighting for our position, and he is probably our second choice now. I mean, you just look at it. The young players, I think Callum Olasesi as well. I think he should be in a squad.
Not a young player.
We have so many good youth players. I think some of them need to come back on loan, and some of them need to come back from loan. I mean, I think
the caveat on this though, Matty, these young kids know what it takes to play for Tottenham because they've been through the youth academy.
Yeah,
Whereas
a
a transfer coming in, Son's been here 10 years, so he should know what the fans want.
Guys, I've got a super chat here. I have to read it out. It's a crazy one. You ready? Someone read it out. Nigel, read it.
Question for the panel vote. More fun, Levy and Cowlin in goal v Man United, or both their pants down on Skywalk or their ball.
Pick up for the super
Stick
chat.
them on the Skywalk.
You're killing me.
Stick them on the Skywalk without any answers.
No, you know what? I'd put Levy in goal and Skywalk. There you go. You get both of both worlds.
Oh my days.
At least Levy would be on the receiving end of a pelting and realising what the fans actually fucking want.
Thank you for the super chat. Time for change. Thank you so much. Bloody hell.
You know what Levy in goal reminds me of? Have you seen that comedy video of that like Australian guys playing football and it's like a goalkeeper in goal, and every time it hits him in the face or hits off the post and hits him in the face, he's on the floor, and then they strap him in a chair and then the ball gets directly kicked at him again, and the ball just keeps hitting his keeper. He's like, oh my God, this keeper's having an absolutely amazing game. They're picking him up like that, arms strapped to the posts, standing them up against the post on the other side, they're kicking the ball at him. That's why I just have that comedy feeling of it being Levy. It'd be so funny.
Guys, right, let's wrap it up tonight. Let's wrap it up. I'm tired. I'm done. Thank you so much, everybody who's joined tonight. Really appreciate it. Big up to everyone watching and all your comments, and the guys who given the super chats. Much appreciated. Just want to go around the panel. Final thoughts. Try and be quick as you can. What is your expectation going into the next 3 games for Spurs, Nige?
I think we will probably get some points. So I'm expecting maybe 4 points out of the next 9.
Okay. Anything in regard to performance-wise, players coming back? Anything you want to see?
I want to see Maddison start a few games. That'd be nice. It'd be nice to see Johnson back just for his numbers, because regardless of what we say about him, he does score goals. And yeah, that's it. I just want to see some attacking football again. Some performances where the players leave everything on the pitch. That's all. If we lose games, I'm happy. I'm fine with losing games as long as they leave everything on the pitch.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. Ian?
Just some effort, like against Brentford. That will do me. I do think we'll beat United. I think we'll nick a win at Ipswich and lose to City. So I think we'll hopefully get 6 out of 9.
Okay, fair enough. And Corey, what do you want in the next 3 games? Anything to do with performances, players, results?
I'll go with what Nige said, really. I'm thinking 4 points. We'll probably draw with United, win, and then lose to City. That's just my opinion. Effort. I just want the senior players that Ange won't call up, start to fucking step it up a bit. Mind my language. I'm sick to death of these so-called senior players not being allowed to be called out by the manager, when a few weeks ago he threw Timo Werner so quickly under a bus. So, he won't call out the players not pulling their weight, but he called out a pretty poor player in Timo Werner straight away. So I'm just sat here scratching my head on it all. The players need to step it up a level for me to start believing in this team again, because in the last 3 years, I may support my club, but I've fallen out of love with it.
Ah, dear. Eugene?
Yeah, I think we might be able to get 6 points out of the next 3. But again, to me, at this point, points, it'd be great if we won some games. But, as you guys said, and as I said earlier, I just want to see youngsters play. I want to see some passion. I'm tired of seeing there's no effort. If kids play, I'll be happy. One thing, if I see Romero play for Argentina during the international break, that would be my last straw. Get him out. If he doesn't play for us but plays for Argentina, which I have a inkling he will. But yeah, I just want to see the youngsters, and I want to see some passion.
Fair enough.
And if we get some results, great.
Matty?
To be honest, I don't care anymore about the league. It's done. We're not getting Europe, and we're not getting relegated, so don't care. But I do think we'll get 3 points in the next 9 possible points. I think we'll beat United 3-0, and then I think we'll lose massively to Ipswich away, and I think we'll get battered at home against City. But I want to say to everyone, subscribe to Danilist and Nige Purecois. They're great. And last thing, I just want to say, we can blame as much as we want on Ange, but it's been 16 managers in 24 years. There's a recurring problem. Ange can't be blamed for everything, and we need to take our frustrations out on the board, I think. And I want to see everyone at the protest on Sunday. So Levy out.
Big up, man. Big up. Right. Thank you, Matty. So my final words of the evening is that I've just lost interest, really. Completely lost interest with Spurs under Ange. I just can't see when we're going to win, how we're going to win at the moment. Yeah, it's just not good. I want him to go, but we're stuck with him for now. What's there to look forward to? Only the Europa League, but I ain't got much hope. So look, all the energy's got to go into the protests. The protest drive, definitely.
I feel with you on that, Dan, about the way the club is at the minute. It's literally shaking a magic 8 ball and going, "Oh, Spurs got to win today. Ask again later."
Yeah, you can't predict any result anymore. I've given up predicting. I can't even be bothered. It's a shocking season. I've had enough of it, and a lot of fans I hear, they just want the season to end. It's very sad, isn't it? Very sad. Just wanting it to finish. It just tells you a lot, doesn't it? It says so much. But look, guys, another game is Sunday. We'll be back next week to review it, to discuss it. Again, thank you for everyone who's joined. Big up to everybody in the chat as well for joining us tonight. It's been a great show. And enjoy the rest of your evening. And come on, you Spurs. Good night.
Good night.